Live from the tank on the campus of the College of Staten Island, you're watching the second game of doubleheader basketball coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet. In the second game here tonight, the men's basketball team will look to extend their winning streak to 8 as they take on the Baruch College Bearcats, who are looking to extend a winning streak of their own. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Bebuski, joined once again by my partner, Joe Foreman. And Joe, for those of you that might have joined us late, the College of Staten Island got off to a quick start, got great offensive and defensive performances throughout the lineup, got 22 of 37 shooting out of Diana Tadero, Samantha Flecker, and Christina Passatoro, and they rolled on to victory, defeating Baruch 76-32. We expect a much closer game in game number 2 as two red-hot teams in the CUNYAC Conference get together.
Well, you mentioned how red-hot these two teams are coming into tonight's matchup. First, the Dolphins. Their winning streak actually began with a win over Baruch College, a 62-64 win, a game we promised we talk about a bit more during this pregame earlier tonight. That game was a game that the Dolphins led in the first half by a big margin, and then in the second half, the Bearcats came storming back. The Dolphins' next win on this winning streak came against Medgar Evers, a big win there. Another double-digit point win over Hunter, another double-digit point win over Kane, a 30-point win over Brooklyn, a 9-point win over John Jay, the closest game during this winning streak outside of that matchup with the Bearcats, and then a win just 2 days ago over the Beavers of CCNY. So the Dolphins look to continue this winning streak the same way that they began this winning streak, with a win over the Bearcats.
Yeah, and you know, Joe, you look at this CSI Dolphin team, and they had so many questions coming in to the regular season. They had lost their all-CUNYAC point guard in Frankie Schettino, their longtime head coach Tony Petosa decided to retire in the offseason, but you look at the way this Dolphin team has come out under head coach TJ Tibbs, and you have to be very impressive both with the performance of the players and the way that head coach TJ Tibbs has coached this team in his first season.
And this team has been very impressive after a slow start. They opened the season with only a single win in their first 5 games. We've already mentioned now they're in the midst of a 7-game winning streak, hoping to extend that streak to 8 tonight. And to go back for a moment to that last matchup with the Bearcats that I referenced before, in that game, Christian Taylor was the leading scorer for the Dolphins, but in that game, he only had 14 points, as did Rob Rossler. Eden Brocic had 11, Raymond Savage with 9. Adeola Latunji only had 7 in that game. Since that point, Latunji has really gotten going. He's shooting the ball extremely well. Of course, we've always known he can finish emphatically at the rim, oftentimes with a hand or two on a dunk. But he's also been knocking down the mid-range jump shot, has been very efficient from the field, can run the floor in transition. And since that matchup against Baruch College, he's really improved his play offensively. And that's a big part of the reason why the Dolphins find themselves in the midst of this winning streak.
And you know, Joe, you look at the CSI team offensively, you have Adeola Latunji, who you just mentioned, shooting over 50% from the floor, and starting point guard Christian Taylor shooting really an incredible 56% from the field as a point guard. So the Dolphins getting very strong production out of their 2 leading scorers, and they have a lot of players that have been assisting in the supporting cast as well.
They have. They've gotten contributions across the board, and that's something that you get when you are a good team. If you take a look at the numbers for the Dolphins on the season, they are improving as we go along. We mentioned Adeola Latunji improving. He's now the team's leading scorer with 16 points a game. Christian Taylor right behind him. But you mentioned it, Mike, the efficiency with which these two players have shot the ball, both over 50%. Latunji barely over, but Christian Taylor from the field shooting over 56%. You then have right below them 4 players shooting over 40%, and those are Raymond Savage, Stephen Flagg, and Rob Rossler, along with Rudy Laventure, who doesn't get nearly as many minutes as those other 3. Also, Jade Spencer shooting 57%. So really 5 players shooting extremely well beyond just Latunji and Taylor, the team's 2 leading scorers. So it's really been a collective effort offensively for the Dolphins so far this season. And we've seen the big numbers they put up on the scoreboard during this winning streak, a testament to their improvement at the offensive end.
You know, Joe, while we have a minute, let's take just a quick look back at the CCNY game for the Dolphins, because it was a game that, you know, really wasn't available for our fans to watch streaming online. It was a game that Dolphins got off to a strong start and really took an early lead, but CCNY able to come back and tie the game up at 41 and really forced the Dolphins to play a strong second half. But once again, they got 8 of 12 shooting from Adeola Latunji. He led all Dolphin scores with 22 points. 4 other players in double digits, including Ray Savage, Christian Taylor, Robert Rossiter, and Stephen Flagg. And, you know, we mentioned a little bit before, Joe, the supporting cast of this Dolphin team. And this Dolphin team is deep. This Dolphin team puts a lot of plays out on the floor, and they've been getting contributions out of not only the starters, but a lot of the players coming off the bench.
And one bench player I need to mention is Stephen Flagg, who's played very well as of late for the Dolphins. He did score 10 points in that matchup at CCNY on an efficient 5 of 10 shooting, and he's always been known as a player who can get to the rim very well and create space for himself in and around the basket. But we've also seen him knock down some jump shots as of late as well, extending his range beyond the three-point line in the last Dolphins home matchup against John Jay. I believe he knocked down a three-pointer or two in that game. Another stellar performance for him in the Dolphins' next game, their latest game against CCNY. Also in that game against CCNY, the Dolphins shot the ball very well, once again up around 48%. Not well from downtown, only 5 of 21 from three-point range, but they got to the free throw line 26 times and shot 81% from the charity stripe in that game. And something we'll talk about more is their need to limit the Bearcats' free throw opportunities here in tonight's game. That's something that really hurt them in that first matchup. Late in that game, down the stretch, they began to turn the ball over and allow the Bearcats to get to the three-point line. And also in that last matchup against CCNY, the Dolphins didn't defend the three-pointer particularly well. They allowed CCNY to shoot nearly 47% from downtown, 12 of 26. So the Dolphins have to defend the three-pointer more effectively, keep the opposition away from the free throw line, and protect the basketball. We'll talk more about that before tip-off.
And, you know, Joe, we're rounding ourselves now into the second half of the CUNYAC season. You see teams that are playing them, getting to play each other for the second time, and the standings really start to take shape here, Joe, when we get this late in the season.
And I mentioned it before during a previous broadcast. You see the distance growing between CSI and Lehman from the rest of those teams in the CUNYAC Conference. That game against the Lightning late in the season, that final game of the season for this men's team, that could be a huge matchup. But they need to come away with a victory here tonight, because Baruch College with a win could put themselves right back in the conversation. With a win tonight, the Bearcats would pull to within one game of the Dolphins in the loss column and make the case that they could finish in one of those top 2 spots and secure an early bye. A lot of competition atop this men's CUNYAC Conference between the Dolphins. Play some of these teams close already this season, including a loss at the hands of the Lightning, a close game with Baruch, the matchup with Hunter, a 13-point win for the Dolphins. They only defeated John Jay by 9, so a lot of close games between the Dolphins and their CUNYAC foes, teams that they will see again this year.
And, you know, Joe, you take a look at the standings and you look at CCNY coming in with a record of just 1-9, but yet they were giving the Dolphins everything they wanted in the second half and had the game tied up. This is a very competitive conference. This is a conference where we've seen over history that anybody could beat anybody, and you certainly don't want to get yourself into a position where you have to play that extra game, making a first-round bye very important.
And I think it's worth noting also that the Bearcats are the first team in the CUNYAC Conference the Dolphins will see twice this season, the first team that they're playing now for the second time this year. They also play York for the second time this weekend as well, but the second matchup with Baruch College this season. And as I take a look here at the schedule, they actually did play CCNY twice. So Baruch, the second team the Dolphins have seen twice. But regardless, I'm interested to see how seeing a team for the second time impacts the way that the Bearcats approach this game. They got off to a very slow start, as I mentioned last time against the Dolphins, but really did a good job of turning it around in the second half. At halftime, they trailed 37-21. They outscored the Dolphins 41-27 in that second half, and I watched that game live streaming. A big part of that was the turnovers they forced. They really pressured the Dolphins, bringing the ball up the floor, and CSI didn't really have an answer to that pressure. Baruch also got to the three-point line, the free throw line, I should say, but also they did light it up from three-point range in the second half. In half number 2 of that game, I believe the Bearcats shot 50% from three-point range. So CSI really needs to make sure they key in on the three-point shooters for this Bearcats team. They could see the second half of that last game play out over the course of an entire game here tonight, and that's something they certainly want to avoid.
So we've given you the CSI Dolphin preview and taken you a look around the CUNYAC standings. Why don't we step aside and take a break, and we'll be back to take a look at the Dolphins' opponent tonight, the Baruch Bearcats, as you're watching CUNYAC doubleheader coverage on your voice of everything, CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
One-on-One is an independently owned and operated physical therapy center since 1999.
One-on-One has multiple offices located in Staten Island and in Brooklyn.
One-on-One has been getting people back to living pain-free for almost 14 years.
The number one goal of One-on-One is to provide quality health care for our community and continue to strive to be the best in our field.
One-on-One physical therapy gets our clients back to work, back to play, and back to function as soon as possible. We help them reclaim their life.
Gary, we are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you?
You know you do.
Yeah, but I don't know where to start. That's why we're here. We're free, handsome,
I think we're breathtaking.
and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. I got this. Is that brand? Colleges love extracurricular activities.
Chess really isn't my thing.
I got this. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Picking a college, man. You and us go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Fire and ice.
Those don't really go together.
Go to GetSchooled.com for more info.
No one ever won a race because it was their turn. And guzzling the right sports drink never won all 3 sets. You can't talk your way through a tournament, and luck doesn't last. Real champions know that it takes more to do more, because wanting it just isn't good enough. You've got to be smarter, faster, tougher. After all, if championships were easy, everybody would have one. City University of New York Athletic Conference. Learn, play, succeed.
Here at Tim Hortons, we know what mornings are all about. Bacon. Wake up to 6 strips of crispy bacon on a toasted everything bagel. The new Bacon Everything Bagel Sandwich. Great quality at a great value. It's all good at Tim Hortons.
We're back here at the Tank, and we're moments away from the start of the second game of our doubleheader between the College of Staten Island and Baruch College. The CSI women easily extended their winning streak to 3 earlier tonight, defeating Baruch College, and the men's team will look to do the same thing here in game number 2. And Joey, haven't had much of a chance to talk to about Baruch, so let's get into the Bearcats right now. They're coming in, they're red hot. They've won their last 4 games in a row. They're very talented, and as you mentioned, Joe, with a win here tonight, could creep to within 1 game of CSI in the CUNYAC standings.
This is a much different team than the Dolphins faced the first time that they played Baruch, at least in terms of how they entered the game playing. Before that game against the Dolphins, this team was a team that only had 4 wins on the season, I should say 5 wins on the season. They've now increased that total to 9 since that matchup with the Dolphins. They lost a game to the Lehman College Lightning following the matchup with CSI by a score of 68-52, and since then, they've had some big wins within the CUNYAC Conference, a 69-56 win over John Jay, a 77-60 win over Brooklyn College, an 80-50 win over Hunter, and an 89-65 win at York College. So some big conference victories for the Baruch College Bearcats, and if they want to solidify themselves as a part of that conversation for one of the teams competing for a CUNYAC regular season championship. A win tonight could go a very long way in doing that.
Yeah, it's almost a must-win, Joe, if they're going to compete for that regular season CUNYAC championship. And, we mentioned before, they're led by senior all-star CUNYAC player Chima Ekekabar. Ekekabar coming into the game is the leading scorer on the Bearcats. And, Chima's a player that we've seen play the Dolphins over the last 4 years. And, he's a very dangerous top-level CUNYAC basketball player.
And he was a big part of that Baruch College comeback, really gave the Dolphins fits inside around the rim, and the Dolphins really didn't have an answer for him defensively around the basket. But if you take a look at what this Baruch College team does well, they don't only have a Ekekabar who can finish around the rim, they also have some stellar three-point shooting. As a team, the Bearcats shooting nearly 36% from three-point range on the season. That's a good number. However, at the same time, they do allow the opposition to shoot over 37% from downtown, so there should be some openings from three-point range for the Dolphins in this game, and if CSI can exploit those, they should put themselves in a good position to win this game, because three-point shooting is one of the things they did not do well in that last matchup against Baruch, at least in the first half.
Yeah, and some of looking at the Bearcats and looking at these seasonal statistics, they've been able to out-rebound opponents for the season. They've gotten more rebounds than they've allowed, and they've also turned the ball over less. So, this Bearcat team under head coach John Alisi, we know they're going to be very well coached. We know they're not going to allow a big lead or a big deficit to change the way they play, and you saw that in the first game between these two teams.
And I think the rebounding battle could be a big part of this game as well. Before the Dolphins' last game that I covered, I mentioned how important it was for them to get on the boards and win that battle on the boards, and they did so en route to a big victory over Kane University. Tonight, they face a team with some good size. You have Alan Villar at 6'7", Matthew Grossman at 6'8", Benjamin Boateng at 6'6", George Smith Jr. at 6'5". Some very tall players. Andre Harris, 6'6". Several players standing at least 6 feet 5 inches or taller, and the Dolphins will have to contend with that on the boards, and we'll see if they can at least keep this rebounding battle close, give themselves some second chances, and close out their defensive possessions on the defensive glass.
So we're going to step aside and take our final break of the pregame show. We'll be back to bring you the starting lineups and tonight's opening tip of the game number 2 of this doubleheader between the College of Staten Island and the Baruch Bearcats. You're watching men's basketball action on your voice of everything, CUNYAC Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
So who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311.
We're back here at the Tank, and we're just moments away between the start of tonight's game between the College of Staten Island and the Baruch College Bearcats. The Dolphins coming in looking to extend their winning streak, as are the Bearcats, and the players are about to get introduced out on the floor. And while that's happening, why don't we bring you tonight's starting lineups? And here to bring you those starters, my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman. Joe?
All right, thank you, Mike. For the Baruch College Bearcats starting lineup, number 2, Bryler Page. Number 3, William Sixsmith. Number 4, Anthony Gibbs. Number 15, Andre Harris. And number 32, Chima Ekekabar. In just a moment, the Dolphins will be introduced on the floor as well, so we'll bring you the CSI starting lineup, the usual 5 that we've seen as of late for the Dolphins. Number 2, Adeola Latunji. Number 23, Christian Taylor. Number 30, Ray Savage. Number 3, Eden Brocic. And number 31, Robert Rosser. So the usual starting 5 for the College of Staten Island against the Bearcats here tonight.
And we mentioned, Joe, the Dolphins coming into today's game on a 7-game winning streak. They're looking to make it 8. They will face a Baruch College team that has won their last 4 games in a row. So what are the keys for today's game, Joe, for the College of Staten Island to be able to extend their winning streak to 8 against a very tough Baruch College Bearcat team here tonight?
So when I thought about the keys to the game for this one, I looked at what the Dolphins didn't do particularly well in the second half against the Bearcats, which allowed Baruch to come back in that game and made them my keys to the game for tonight. First, you have to keep Baruch College off of the three-point line. I mentioned this is a team that shoots well from three-point range, about 36% from downtown for the Bearcats this season. So the Dolphins have to make sure they run the Bearcats off of the three-point line. That being said, if you run them off of the three-point line, also make sure you don't foul. You need to keep Baruch College off of the free throw line. The Dolphins committed a lot of fouls during that late second half run by the Bearcats, and that really allowed Baruch to get back in the game because not only did it put points up on the scoreboard, but it stopped the clock as well. And lastly, the Dolphins need to protect the basketball. In the second half of that game, especially late, they faced full court pressure from the Bearcats, and they succumbed to that pressure. The Dolphins continued to turn the ball over time and time again and just didn't have an answer for the press that was exerted on them by the Bearcats. So the Dolphins need to be very conscious of where they're making their passes here tonight. They made some very lazy passes and picked up their dribble far too soon in that stretch run against the Bearcats last time, and it almost cost them the victory in that game.
The College of Staten Island coming in having won their last 6 meetings against Baruch College going back to the 2015 season. But, Joe, these have been close games. The average margin of victory for the Dolphins in the last 5, just 8 points.
And in that last matchup, only a 2-point Dolphins victory in a very exciting game, and we're hoping for more of the same here tonight on CSI Sportsnet.
So Latunji will jump for the Dolphins against Ekabar, and the opening kip is controlled by the Dolphins. And Taylor will have the Dolphins set up in the first possession, and we have a whistle, and I believe we have a shot clock problem here to start the game. So the Dolphins will get to inbound. The shot clock will be reset to 27 seconds as the Dolphins will set up offensively for the first possession of today's game. Dolphins coming into tonight's game, operating pretty efficiently offensively, Joe, and looking for more of that here tonight.
And we've seen their shooting percentages and scoring output steadily rising over the course of this winning streak.
Averaging just under 80 points a game at 78.7 as Taylor drives to the basket and puts up the short jumper, and that's good. And Taylor's really been effective posting up inside, Joe.
And time again, I'm impressed by his body control around the rim. It has been tremendous there. That was a well-contested shot, and Taylor's still able to knock it down.
Gibbs getting the ball over to Page. Page lobs the ball inside to Ekabar, and it's going to go out of bounds, and the first turnover of the game will go to the Bearcats. Just underway here, 33 seconds in, and Taylor will bring the basketball up for the second possession of the game for the Dolphins. Gets the ball over to Savage. Now Brocic with his first touch as the Dolphins work the ball around offensively. Taylor, crossover dribble, working the ball into the corner to Savage. Savage gets it to Latunji, his first touch of the afternoon, and we're going to have a whistle and a jump ball possession, and the possession arrow will go to the Bearcats.
We saw the Bearcats swarm Latunji there as soon as he passed inside of the free throw line. It'll be interesting to see if that's their defensive strategy when Adeola dribbles the ball.
So one turnover apiece here early in the game as Page brings the ball up. Gibbs brings the ball up and now gets the ball out over to Page. Harris handing the ball off to Sixsmith. Sixsmith driving inside and laying it up and in, and that time he was able to take Savage to the basket and tie the game up at 2. Taylor. Now over to Brocic. Good defense by the Bearcats, and the Dolphins pass the ball out by the three-point line as it's now Latunji. Feeding it back up over to Savage. Savage, a nice bounce pass inside to Latunji, who's able to lay it up and in, and that was good ball handling that time by Latunji, Joe.
And we've seen the Dolphins utilize the backdoor play very well there. precise pass from Savage, and it took a great pass to get Latunji the space to finish underneath the rim without that ball being stolen.
4-2 the score as the Bearcats look to work the basketball inside, but the ball's going to be nearly knocked out of bounds, but the Dolphins able to come away with it as Taylor gets the turnover now for the Dolphins. Taylor looking to work one-on-one. He loses possession of the ball, stumbles, and he'll get called for the travel. So 2 turnovers apiece, Joe, here in the early going.
And Taylor was very, very well defended on that possession. It seemed like the defender knew exactly where he was going as he was prepared for that spin move. Taylor spun right into the teeth of the defense as we get another look at that bounce pass. A good pass by Savage. Latunji had to corral it in, but finishes underneath.
So now it's Bracic coming away with the steal. He hands the ball off to Taylor, now Savage. Bounce pass goes inside to Rossiter. The Bearcats get back, so the Dolphins will set up offensively. Latunji gets the ball out over to Savage. Dolphins still with 15 on the shot clock. Bracic, the long three-pointer, and it's good. Big basket by Eden Bracic gives the Dolphins a 5-point lead.
And we've seen that Eden Bracic will not hesitate to take that long three-pointer if given the space. If he's open and beyond the arc, he's willing to put that shot up.
So his first basket of the game, and the Dolphins have their biggest lead of the game here early, 7-2. Sixsmith with the basketball. Bounce pass goes up over to Harris. Harris, the long jumper, is up, no good. Good defensive rebound by Taylor, and here come the Dolphins once again. Rossiter. Rossiter picks up the dribble. His cross-court pass is knocked away, nearly stolen, but the Dolphins will maintain possession with 21 on the shot clock.
And we get a look at the strong shooting start for the Dolphins, 3 of 3 from the field early in this first half. But something I've noticed is that when they've attacked the basket, the Bearcats have really collapsed on any player who looks to drive in toward the rim.
Savage with the basketball, now feeds it up over to Taylor. He fights his way inside and lays it up and in. Good, strong body control that time by Taylor.
And it seems that every finish of his could be categorized as impressive. Tough shots time and time again around the rim converted by Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor second in scoring at 15.5 points a game. He has 4, and the Dolphins have their biggest lead at 7. Pass back, deflected, but the Bearcats able to get possession of the basketball as they feed it inside to Page. He misses the layup. Ekekaba goes up with the putback. That's no good. It gets fed inside to Gibbs, who lays it up and in and draws the foul. So that time the Bearcats get 3 opportunities, Joe. They make the third one count.
And we saw the benefits of relentless pursuit on the offensive glass last game as the Dolphins were able to defeat their counterparts from Baruch College, and that one largely, or at least early on, largely due to offensive rebounding as we get another look at that finish by Taylor right there. But the Bearcats able to get several offensive rebounds on that possession now, may get 3 points out of it.
And Gibbs comes into the game shooting 81% from the free throw line. He completes the three-point play, and the lead is down to 9-5. Taylor with the basketball now, hands the ball off to Bracic as they get the ball back to Taylor, and now the Dolphins look to set up offensively. Taylor, long cross-court pass, nearly a backcourt violation, but a nice play by Bracic to keep possession. And then the Bearcats foul way away from the basket. That was a foul that I'm sure the Bearcats would like to have back, Joe.
Absolutely, Mike. The shot clock was down to 10, and the Bearcats had a one-man advantage defensively as Bracic hadn't even crossed half court yet, so not a good foul there committed by Baruch.
So Gibbs picks up his first team foul, and the Dolphins now operate with 20 on the shot clock. Latunji getting the ball up over to Taylor, 10 seconds to shoot, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul out on the floor. And that foul is going to be called on the Bearcats, as that's going to be on Sixsmith. That will be his first, the team's second. So the Dolphins will inbound once again with 20 seconds on the shot clock. Savage inbounds the ball to Taylor as the Dolphins look to set up offensively. Now it's Bracic. He hands the ball off to Savage. Good defense by the Bearcats, forcing everything outside here for the Dolphins. Latunji stops, puts up the long jumper, and buries it from just inside the three-point line.
We've seen more and more of that from Adiola Latunji during this Dolphins winning streak, and that shot's a big reason that he's now scoring consistently over 20 points a game.
Dolphins now 4-4 from the field, and they lead by 5 of 5, I should say, and they lead by a score of 11-5. Ball worked in the corner to Page. His long three-pointer is good. Big answer that time by the Bearcats.
And that's a big shot there by Baruch. He felt momentum perhaps swinging in the Dolphins' favor, but the Bearcats answered that shot by Latunji with a three-pointer of their own.
Baruch cutting the Dolphin lead down to 3 as it's Taylor with the basketball. Taylor working his way inside, gets it back to Latunji. He puts up the jumper, and it's good. And boy, Joe, he looks better and better every game.
And I think we're reaching the point now where we see the ball leave his hand, and we're almost certain that that shot is going to go down from the mid-range area. And right there, Christian Taylor with a nice pass. Again, good body control to find Latunji.
Latunji has 6, and the Bearcats have the basketball. Ekekaba gets called for the travel, so Baruch will turn it over once again.
With that last shot by Latunji, the Dolphins remain perfect from the field now, 6 of 6.
As Ekekaba will actually come over to the sideline and out of the game for the Bearcats. He turned the ball over, Joe, a couple of times here early.
The Bearcats with 3 turnovers thus far to only 2 for the Dolphins.
Taylor with the basketball now outside the three-point line with 14 seconds to shoot. He works the ball back to Bracic. His long three-pointer is no good, but Latunji comes flying in, puts up the offensive rebound in the same motion, and draws the foul.
And this Bearcats defense is collapsing very hard each and every time the Dolphins drive, even inside the three-point line. If a player takes an aggressive dribble toward the basket from really anywhere on the floor inside the arc, this defense just completely collapses onto them, and there are plenty of openings beyond the three-point line as a result. Right there, Bracic just couldn't knock it down, but good job by Latunji on the offensive glass, and once again, offensive rebounding playing a big role in an early Dolphins lead.
So you see up on your screen, Latunji just adds his 7th point, and now his 8th on 3 of 3 shooting from the field and 2 of 2 from the line. He's been perfect here, Joe, offensively.
He's been phenomenal to start this game for the Dolphins. Of course, perfect from the field. Now 8 points, perfect from the line. That big offensive rebound giving the Dolphins another opportunity as well.
So the Bearcats with the basketball, they trail by 7. That long three-pointer is going to be put up, and that will be an air ball that time by Harris. And here comes Rossiter with the rebound and the basketball. Rossiter drives his way inside and is going to get called for the charge. Boy, Joe, I don't know about that one.
That's a tough call because Rossiter did appear to go straight up. It looked like the defender was in position, perhaps went down a bit harder than the contact may have led us to believe he would. But good finish by Rossiter, unfortunately called for the offensive foul. And those are always tough to call when the player does go straight up. That is Rossiter's 2nd foul, so that call, regardless of what we thought of it, it is a big one. It sends Rob Rossiter to the bench. He is scoreless as we get another look at it. That give you any clarity, Mike?
Yeah, it was a terrible call. So the ball goes into possession of the Bearcats here as they find themselves trailing by 7 as that ball goes inside to Gibbs. A nice defensive play by the Dolphins. Jade Spencer checking in for Rossiter as it's Savage with the basketball. Now Latunji's long pass, and Bracic has to save it. Nice job by the Dolphins to maintain possession of the basketball as that ball's fed inside to Spencer, and his shot is blocked away beautifully by the Bearcat defense.
That's the 2nd time Eden Bracic has saved the backcourt, and yes, that pass was made through the defender's legs.
As that shot is put up, and that's no good. A fight for the rebound. It's going to be grabbed inside by Boateng, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul on the Dolphins, and Spencer will pick up the foul. That will be his first, the team's 3rd. You could see Jade a little bit unhappy with the call, but nonetheless, it's going to send the Bearcats to the free throw line to shoot 2 as Benjamin Boateng will go to the line. Boateng 8 of 14 from the free throw line. That's 57%.
And that last pass I was referring to was the pass by Ray Savage inside to Spencer. Passed the ball straight through the defender's legs on the bounce as we will have a Dolphins substitution. It's Stephen Flagg entering, replacing Ray Savage.
So a substitution there for the Dolphins to bring more size into the lineup, Joe, as Savage goes to the bench and Stephen Flagg will come in. Flagg has played better and better, Joe, his last few games.
He has. I mentioned it in the pregame. Once again in double digits in the Dolphins' last game against CCNY, but also had a 20-point game the last time the Dolphins were here as well. He actually scored more than 20 points. I'll get the exact number in a moment. And it is 22 points that he scored in that last matchup here against the Bloodhounds at the Tank.
So Flagg with the basketball. He puts up his first shot. That's going to be no good, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul. And that's going to be on the Bearcats. That's going to be on George Smith Jr. as George will pick up his first, and the Bearcats pick up their fourth as both teams starting to accumulate team fouls a little bit here, Joe, midway through the first half. Flag looking for somewhere to go with the basketball. He'll lob it back to Latunji as the Dolphins set up now with a fresh 30-second shot clock. Taylor, beautiful crossover dribble, but can't hit the jumper. But once again, Latunji grabs another offensive rebound. Latunji puts up the jumper and buries it. He's coming out red hot on fire, Joe. 10 points already, Padiola.
Like I said, Mike, before, as soon as the ball leaves his hand, I think everyone in the building now is confident he's knocking that shot down. He's been money from the mid-range area now over the course of this winning streak.
Dolphins with their biggest lead of the first half. It's now 8, 17-9. Page with the basketball. Page, a nice feed inside to Boateng, who lays it up and in. Nice looking offensive play that time by the Bearcats, Joe.
Dolphins have done a good job forcing the Bearcats inside. The Dolphins just need to protect the rim the best they can. They've run them off the three-point line well, not allowing them to get going from downtown.
Flag with the basketball. Flag looking to get a little space for himself. He feeds the ball inside to Spencer, who draws the foul. Nice play that time by Flag. He drove the ball to the basket and drew the Baruch defender to it, shoveled it inside to Spencer, Joe, and Spencer drew the foul.
I've spoken about it one or two times already. This Bearcats defense collapsing very hard on any Dolphins player who attacks the rim. There will be openings on the perimeter, but that also leaves you vulnerable to openings back door. And right there, Spencer found one of those openings along the baseline. Good pass from Flag, and Spencer will attempt 2 free throws from the charity stripe.
So Spencer's first free throw is good. He came into tonight's game shooting 53% from the line, and he opens the Dolphin lead back up to 7. One more free throw upcoming here for Spencer is head coach John Alisi continuing to go to his bench here, Joe, in this first half.
And I think we saw a pair of substitutions there as Alan Villar, I believe, checked in along with Jack Sixsmith.
So the Dolphins match their biggest lead. It's 8. We have 11 minutes and 25 seconds remaining here in the first half as it's Sixsmith with the basketball. He gets the ball up over to Page. Page guarded by Destine, who's checked into the game. Rigo checking in for the first time for the Dolphins here tonight. Ekekabar back into the game for the Bearcats. They work the ball cross court now, up over to Sixsmith. They try to get the ball inside, but nice job by Spencer to force the turnover. Destine back up over to Flag. Flag looking to work the ball up over to Destine. And that time, Joe, the Dolphins almost turned the ball over on one pass, turned it over on the second.
They did, and on that prior possession defensively as well, a strong closeout by Adiola Latunji, forcing the Bearcats turnover, which sent the Dolphins moving up the floor in transition as you get a look at the turnover numbers. 4 turnovers aside thus far, with just under 11 minutes to go in the first half, with the Dolphins forcing 1 turnover and then give it right back.
Sixsmith with the basketball. He gets the ball up over to Harris. Harris back over to Sixsmith. His wide open 3 is no good, and Taylor grabs the rebound for the Dolphins. Destine with the basketball. Destine picks up his dribble, now gets it over to Flag, now up over to Spencer, back up over to Flag. He could hit that outside shot. He passes it up, and the Dolphins work the ball around the perimeter now with 13 to shoot. Spencer, now Flag. Flag looking to work against Sixsmith. 7 on the shot clock. He gets the ball inside to Taylor. Taylor triple teamed on the play. Able to force the ball up to the rim. He nearly hit it. Adiola Latunji tried to jam it home. He misses. And the Bearcats come away with the basketball.
And that would have electrified the tank had Latunji been able to convert on that one-handed putback dunk.
Harris with the basketball. Now up over to Sixsmith. His open three-pointer is good. Big swing in the game there, Joe, to bring the Bearcats back to 5. And we're going to have a whistle and a timeout on the floor by the Dolphins. It's going to be a full timeout here with 9 minutes and 56 seconds remaining. Why don't we step aside, take a break. Dolphins lead by 5. You're watching men's basketball coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
One-on-One is an independently owned and operated physical therapy center since 1999.
One-on-One has multiple offices located in Staten Island and in Brooklyn.
One-on-One has been getting people back to living pain-free for almost 14 years.
The number one goal of one-on-one is to provide quality health care for our community and continue to strive to be the best in our field.
One-on-one physical therapy gets our clients back to work, back to play, and back to function as soon as possible. We help them reclaim their life.
We're back here at the Tank with 9 minutes and 56 seconds remaining here in the first half. The Dolphins lead by a score of 19-14. The Dolphins have really led the whole way, Joe, led by as many as 8. What have you seen here in the first half out of both teams?
Well, you have to love what you've seen from Adeola Latunji, of course. 4 or 5 from the field with 10 points, also 3 rebounds. All 3 of those rebounds offensive. A strong start for Christian Taylor as well. Did hit his first 2 shots, missed his last 2. He also has a pair of rebounds to go along with an assist, a block, and a steal, so he's having a well-rounded game thus far. And from Baruch right now, they just need to protect the basketball, and in the half court, need to be a bit more efficient. They've struggled thus far in their half court offense, only shooting 38.5% from the field.
So it's Taylor with the basketball as he gets the ball out over to Desteem. Desteem working his way. His jumper from just inside the free throw line is no good, and it's going to be Sixsmith going up high for the rebound for the Bearcats. Sixsmith working it in the corner to Harris. Harris now working the ball over. The wide open three-pointer is up no good, and Desteem goes up high for the rebound as Sixsmith misses the open three-point attempt. Taylor. Desteem up over the flag. He hands the ball off to Taylor. Taylor working against Sixsmith. They work it in the corner. The flag is long three-pointer is up. No good. It'll be out of bounds. Last touch by the Dolphins, so it'll be Bearcat basketball.
And on this possession, the Dolphins really need to be careful. They've been getting a bit lax on their defense of the three-point shot. On 2 occasions, Jack Sixsmith has been wide open, failed to knock it down, and then in between those 2 attempts, William Sixsmith knocked down a three-pointer.
So the Dolphins have gone cold from the field since hitting their opening shots as Sixsmith misses the open layup. And a nice rebound by Spencer to come away with the ball for the Dolphins. Gibbs guarded Desteem. His layup is up no good. The ball's going to be tipped away and out of bounds. Last touch by the Dolphins, so it'll be Bearcat basketball. And you know, we mentioned before, Joe, the Dolphins started off shooting red hot, have cooled off considerably. 6 of 6 to start, 1 of 10 since.
And it has been a struggle for the Dolphins from the field as they've tailed off a bit, but fortunately for them, they've still been able to maintain their lead in this game.
19-14 the score. Bearcats down by 5 with possession of the basketball. Sixsmith with the basketball, now gets the ball up over to Bridie. Bridie working the ball out over to Harris. His jumper is up no good, but the Bearcats come away as Harris is able to come over and get his own offensive rebound.
I can't believe how much space they gave Jack Sixsmith that whole possession. He was wide open the entire time.
As that open jumper that time by Bridie is good, and the Bearcats have cut the Dolphin lead down to 3. 19-16 the score. The Bearcats in the middle of a 7-2 run. And we're going to have another turnover now by the Dolphins.
Dolphins getting a bit sloppy after a strong start to this first half. Have really cooled off from the field. Now beginning to turn the ball over more as well, as both teams have committed 5 turnovers to this point in the game.
Yeah, and the Dolphins will substitute Christian Kopik into the game for the first time tonight. He'll replace Jade Spencer as Sixsmith will bring the ball up the floor. Bearcats with an opportunity to close the gap or tie with this possession. Sixsmith looking to feed the ball inside now to Villar. Villar working the ball out over to Harris. Harris jumper from the baseline. It rolls around the rim and in. Nice move that time by Harris. Flag had him pretty well defended, but Harris able to hit the jumper.
And the Bearcats starting to get it done from all areas of the floor, both beyond the arc and getting closer, as they're now on a 7-0 run and have really began to click offensively coming out of that last timeout.
Another turnover for the Dolphins. They've been sloppy with the basketball here in the last few minutes as that long three-point jumper taken by Bridie is up no good. Long rebound grab by Savage. Over to Taylor. Taylor looking to streak his way inside, but once again, Sixsmith there to knock the ball away and force the turnover as he drives it to the basket. A nice play by Savage to knock that ball out of bounds. But the Bearcats playing very strong defense, Joe, and have been rewarded as they've been able to shut down the Dolphin attack here. 7 turnovers for just 5 for Baruch here in the first half. And now the Bearcats feed the ball inside and lay the ball up and in, as that's Bridie giving the Bearcats their first lead of the game.
And I think the big concern for the Dolphins is how quickly and sloppily so many of their possessions have started to come to an end over the last couple of minutes.
Flag with the basketball, gets the ball out over to Taylor. Now it's Savage in the corner to Brocic. Brocic tries to work his way inside, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul away from the basket that time on the Bearcats. And you're the Bearcats, Joe. You hate to have the momentum that you've established broken on a foul like that. As we're going to have a whistle, and another timeout on the floor is going to be taken here by the Dolphins, and it's going to be a 30-second timeout. So we're going to keep it right here. And you know, Joe, the Dolphins came out strong. They took a 17-9 lead, but they led by 8 on a couple of occasions. But Baruch has really turned up the defensive intensity and forced a lot of Dolphin turnovers.
They have. Not only have they forced turnovers, but the Dolphins now shooting under 50% from the field. Their mark now is 7 of 16, and you said it, Mike, that's due in large part to the Bearcats' defense. The Dolphins came out very strong, shooting extremely well, as the Baruch run is now extended to 9-0. The Dolphins have gone nearly 5 minutes without scoring a basket, 4 minutes and 57 seconds to be exact. So the Dolphins really struggling, but it's a testament to how well the Bearcats have played defensively since the opening minutes of this game, when the Dolphins appear to have seized control.
Yeah, and, you know, the Bearcats have done a nice job. They've, really forced the Dolphins to slow down offensively here a little bit, as the Dolphins looking to get the ball inbounds, and actually very fortunate not to turn the ball over, Joe, on that inbounds pass.
And there was simply nowhere for Stephen Flagg to go with that ball. Every Dolphins player was covered very well, and there wasn't a strong enough effort made to get open for Flagg to make an inbounds pass that wasn't going to get tipped. Fortunately for the Dolphins, it was tipped over the baseline.
So Latunji back into the game for the Dolphins. He gets the ball up over to Taylor. Taylor trying to work his way inside. A couple of Bearcats waiting for him, but he pulls back and hits the jumper.
That's a big shot by Christian Taylor to help not only put the Dolphins back ahead, but stifle the momentum the Bearcats have built.
Yeah, Dolphins have gone over 5 minutes, Joe, as you mentioned, before that big basket there that gives the Dolphins a 1-point lead. Page with the basketball. Page guarded by Savage. Long cross-court pass to a wide-open Sixsmith. His open jumper is up, no good, and he's missed a couple of wide-open jumpers here so far tonight, Joe.
He's missed at least 2 or 3 wide-open jump shots and a wide-open layup as Taylor knocks down again. But I said before quickly, Mike, that I couldn't believe they were leaving him open. Well, he's come into this game shooting 2 of 12 from three-point range, and the Dolphins may very well know that number.
So Sixsmith with the basketball. The Dolphins regain a 3-point lead on a mini 4-0 run. A nice lob inside to Villar. He misses the shot, but he'll draw the foul.
The temptation when you're left that open is to force the defense to respect you. When you're given that much space, you want to knock down that shot, not only for your team, but to make sure the opposing team knows that they have to cover you from that range, perhaps open up a drive to the basket or something inside of the arc. And right now, Sixsmith hasn't been able to do that. And the Dolphins have really been the beneficiaries of his poor shooting, as he'll head to the bench now. He's had a good opportunity in this first half to give the Bearcats a much more sizable lead than they had. It's now the Dolphins in front by 2.
So Villar, a 56% free throw shooter coming into the game here tonight. He hits the first, hits the second, so he hits the pair to draw the Bearcats back to within 1. Taylor will slowly walk the ball up to the floor for the Dolphins as he gets the ball back up over to Savage. As the Dolphins bring the ball across the midcourt line, Brocic now over to Latunji. Latunji out by the free throw line looking to work against Villar, but he loses the handle, and he'll turn the ball over, so it will be Bearcat basketball.
The Dolphins simply not taking good care of the ball here in this first half. The turnovers continue to pile up, and some of them have been very ugly turnovers, as the number for the Dolphins now in this first half is 8 with 5:19 left on the clock.
Yeah, and you know that's not going to make head coach T.J. Tibbs very happy, as the Dolphins now with a 1-point lead, as it's Villar with the basketball. He works the ball out over to Gibbs. Gibbs by the three-point line now trying to work his way inside. He kicks the ball back out to Ekekaba. His shot is up, no good, but coming and grabbing the long rebound will be paid, so Baruch will get a second chance opportunity. Gibbs with the basketball, gets it back on the give and go from Ekekaba, but he can't hit the shot, and Taylor grabs the rebound and feeds it to Latunji. Latunji trying to force his way inside. A couple of Bearcats there Tough shot that time by Latunji, Joe.
Very tough shot, especially 2-on-1 in transition.
The Bearcats now working the ball out by the three-point line as they feed the ball inside to Villar, who draws the foul, lays it up and in, and will go to the free throw line, but he's going to pick up a technical foul. So a nice job by Villar to score the basket, a bad job by Villar to draw the technical foul.
Well, I'm not sure where his ire was directed on that one. I'm not sure if he had words for the official or was taunting a Dolphins player. Either way, you saw him do it immediately, turn toward the baseline and yell something towards either an official or one of the Dolphins, but that will send the Dolphins to the line for a single free throw, and Villar will then go to the line.
Yeah, and Villar's played very well since checking into the game as we have an opportunity to take a look at the replay as the ball got fed inside to Villar, and he did a nice job, and, you know, he did okay with the yell, but when he directed something to one of the Dolphin players, Joe, I think that's where he got hit up with the technical foul.
That's right, Mike. It was Adeola Latunji that he had words for following that made shot. I'm not sure why. Maybe there was something brewing prior to that point. I didn't see anything on that play. I can't think that he didn't like the foul. It wasn't that much contact, and he was able to finish quite easily with no player between him and the basket. The contact came from behind, but for the Dolphins now, it's Ray Savage who will go to the line with a chance to tie the score back up at 24.
Ray, an 89% free throw shooter, but of course, misses the first. He'll have one more. One more upcoming here for Savage. He was 25 of 28 coming into the game, and he hits 1 of 2 to tie up the game, and now it'll be Villar to go to the free throw line. And no real damage done here, so Villar will get to go to the line, try to complete the free throw three-point play, Joe. Second time for to the line for Allen here today. He hit his first 2 free throws here earlier.
He's done good work around the basket, both finishing and drawing fouls, getting to the free throw line. So Villar with a chance to convert the N1 from the free throw line and put his 5th point up on the scoreboard, and he does just that.
So he hits all 3 of his free throw attempts, and the Bearcats lead by 1, as we'll have a substitution as Villar will check out of the game, and it'll be George Smith checking into the game to replace him. Taylor will bring the ball up across the midcourt line and hand the ball off to Brocic as the Dolphins start to run their weave out beyond the three-point line. Taylor working the ball up over the flag. Now Brocic, he has some room. He takes the three-pointer. That's up and no good. So Eden hit his first three-pointer, missed his last 2 as Smith goes to the basket. Page goes to the basket and draws the foul.
And the Bearcats now starting to attack the basket more and more aggressively. They were attacking earlier in the game, but those attacks have become much more aggressive here toward the end of half number 1. And once again, they're back at the free throw line. It's Bryler Page to shoot 2.
Page, a very good free throw shooter, coming in shooting 79%. The Bearcats shoot 73% as a team, and they've done better than that from the line here tonight. And then they open a 2-point lead, 26-24.
And the free throws taken tally for the Bearcats. I believe that makes 8 now, as the lead for Baruch is 3.
So the Dolphins with the basketball, trailing by 3 as we approach 4 minutes remaining here in the first half. Brocic with the basketball, gets the ball out over to Savage. Savage hands the ball off to Stephen Flagg. Flagg trying to work his way inside, gets it to Brocic. Now it's Flagg. Flagg back to Brocic. His open three-pointer is up, no good, and we're going to have a whistle and a loose ball foul called on the Bearcats, but Eden's had a couple open three-pointers here, Joe, in the last few possessions, not able to get them to go down.
Well, those openings on the perimeter continue to be there every time a player even dribbles 1 or 2 steps inside of the arc. As we get a look at the free throw shooting numbers, the Dolphins will attempt free throws, or free throw number 7 here. Number 8, not a sure thing, as Spencer to the line for 1 and 1. And he will convert.
So Spencer hits the first. We mentioned he's a 52% free throw shooter coming into the game here so far this year, but he's hit his first couple. One more for Jade. He's now 4-4 from the line as he brings the Dolphins back to within a point, 27-26. Bearcats with the basketball now as that's Villar, who's come back into the game. Crossed wires with Ekabar. He gets the ball to Brocic off the turnover, who lays it up and in, and that time Villar turned it over. Brocic made it count.
And the Dolphins need to make the most of each and every turnover because their offense has really slowed later in this first half. Baruch does a nice job to out-dribble Villar up the floor, who was giving pursuit, wanted to maybe pin that to the glass, but couldn't get there in time.
The lob inside, a beautiful lob to Villar. He misses the first attempt, but puts it back again. And he's the biggest player out on the floor, Joe, for either team, and he's played like it so far here today.
And the 6'7" Villar has really used his size well, and on the offensive boards, the Dolphins have no answer. If he misses a shot, more than likely he comes down with the rebound as well.
Taylor stops. His pull-up jumper from the free throw line is no good. Baruch goes up high for the rebound. He feeds it back to Savage, and his three-pointer is no good as well. And the Bearcats have the basketball with a 1-point lead. That wild shot by Page is up no good, and here come the Dolphins looking to run. Taylor nearly loses possession. Spencer, a nice job to maintain it for the Dolphins. But Baruch's pass is going to be stolen away by Gibbs, who lays it up and in. Big turnover that time by Ed Baruch. Head coach T.J. Tibbs not liking what he sees. He's going to take a timeout. It's going to be a 30-second timeout. So let's keep it right here, Joe. Dolphins careless with the basketball here in the first half. It cost them once again.
And turnovers have resulted in a dramatic increase in the pace of play as we've seen the action moving back and forth up the floor very quickly, and the Dolphins really need to do a better job of protecting the basketball as the turnover total for them continues to rise here in this first half as we get another look at Ed Baruch off of the forced turnover. And had it not been for those forced turnovers by the Dolphins so far in this first half, Baruch might have a much larger lead. The Dolphins have gotten several easy baskets off of Bearcat turnovers. Those turnovers have been limited, but for the Dolphins now, the CSI with 7 points off of turnovers. The Bearcats have exceeded them with 8, and they certainly have to do a better job of controlling the basketball, at least in the remainder of this first half. And, of course, in the rest of the game, T.J. Tibbs would like to see less of the turnovers.
Yeah, the Bearcats also ahead in second chance points, 10-6. And that's something the Dolphins are going to look to improve on. And as you mentioned, Joe, the Bearcats doing a great job keeping the Dolphins out of the paint, really swarming on them defensively, and Baruch has outscored the Dolphins 14-8 in the paint as well.
And that's due in large part to the size advantage, but also due in large part to them simply having players who look to play with their back to the basket and score inside. That's really the one thing this Dolphins team has lacked this season. They don't have a low-post offensive threat who consistently looks to play with his back to the basket. Christian Taylor might even be the closest thing they have to a player who looks to score in that manner as he knocks down the first of 2 free throws, increasing his point total to 9. But the Dolphins don't have that player 6'5 plus who they can throw the ball to down low in the paint and then have him go to work, give the other players a breather, and score efficiently inside. And that's hurt them at times this season.
Yeah, so Anthony Gibbs will pick up his second personal. He'll go to the bench, and the Bearcats have the basketball and a 1-point lead as the clock winds down to 2 minutes remaining here in the first half. Sixsmith with the basketball. Sixsmith getting it to his brother Sixsmith inside to Ekekabar. He can't hit the layup. The putback is up, no good. And this time it was Boateng working inside. And Joe, you see it more and more throughout this first half. Baruch really starting to establish themselves inside.
They've done a great job not only getting the ball inside, but making the most of those touches around the rim. They've drawn fouls. They've converted on several shot opportunities around the basket. And now, once again, we'll have an opportunity from the free throw line. It's Benjamin Boateng who drew the shooting foul. He goes to the line for 2, but can't convert.
Yeah, so Boateng misses the first free throw. 57% free throw shooter coming into the game. He has 3 points here tonight, and he'll have one more upcoming, looking to expand this 1 point Baruch College Bearcat lead. Boateng's second free throw is up and in, and the Bearcats lead by 2 as the Dolphins will inbound the basketball with 1 minute 50 seconds remaining here in the first half. Taylor with the basketball. Bounce pass goes off over to Savage. He hands the ball off to Flag, and now it's Destine. We go over to Flag outside the three-point line. Stevens still looking for his first points of the afternoon. Savage, a nice feed inside, but the ball knocked away beautifully by the Bearcats once again. And once again, Joe, the Dolphins can't get anything going inside the paint.
And the Bearcats' size has not only been a benefit to them at the offensive end, but around the rim. They've done a nice job making the Dolphins' attempts in the paint much more difficult.
As that long three-pointer by William Sixsmith is up, no good, but once again, Boateng grabs the offensive rebound, and now it'll be the Dolphins on defense once again, and another second chance opportunity here for the Bearcats with 1 minute remaining in the first half. Boateng is open three-pointer, in and out. Rebound grab by Destine. Dolphins going to slow it down offensively here with 22 seconds remaining here in this shot clock for the Dolphins. 40 seconds remaining here in the first half. Taylor with the basketball. Taylor looking to work against Sixsmith. Taylor stops. His pull-up jumper is up, no good. And the rebound grabbed by Baruch, and they'll have the basketball about a 3.5-second differential on the shot clock to the game clock. Jack Sixsmith with the basketball. Baruch content to wind the shot clock down here as Sixsmith about 35 feet out from the basketball now. He'll look to set up with 10 seconds remaining on the shot clock. They get the ball up over to Boateng. Boateng's floater in the lane is good. Baruch opens up their biggest lead of the half. It's 4 points. 1 second remaining. His flag doesn't get the ball up to the basket. And Dolphins started out strong in this game, Joe. They opened the lead up to 17-9. But Baruch closes the first half on a 25-13 run. And they'll go into halftime with a 34-30 lead as head coach T.J. Tibbs walks slowly over to join us here at halftime, with the Dolphins trailing by a score of 34-30. Coach, thanks for coming over and joining us. The team got off to a really strong start. You hit your first 7 shots. You led by as many as 8. But since then, it's been a lot of Baruch Bearcats.
Yeah, we're not playing any defense, and you got to give Baruch credit for that. They're adjusting. They're killing us inside. Second chance opportunities, came out with a great game plan, and they're really executing. I don't think we're doing anything correct on the defensive end. They're outplaying us, they're getting us to every loose ball. And, we're in the game because we're pretty talented offensively, so we're bailing ourselves out with some shots, but we got to get more movement on the offensive end.
Coach, it seems like they're really packing inside on you and trying to force you to shoot from the outside, and they've also outscored you in points in the paint, 14-8 in the first half. What do you do to combat that here in the second half?
We need to push the ball up. We're holding the ball's staying on one side on offense. They're packing in. Adiola and Christian Taylor, obviously 2 of our better players, play from 15 feet and in. So like I said, you got to give them a lot of credit. They're doing a tremendous job. They're active. They've gotten a lot of hands on balls. They're creating offense with their defense. They're playing tough, and, my kids are going to come out and they're going to match that in the second half.
Thanks for joining us, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Thanks for having me.
That's head basketball coach T.J. Tibbs, nice enough to join us after a frustrated conclusion of the first half, Joe.
And you could hear the frustration in his voice. He said his team really didn't do anything right defensively in that first half. And early on, it wasn't a poor defensive effort for the Dolphins. They did force some turnovers early in that first half, but Baruch really did a good job correcting that issue and moving forward for the remainder of that first half. From about 5 or 6 minutes onward, the Bearcats really took control of this game. At one point, the Dolphins went 5 minutes without scoring, so it's actually really surprising the Dolphins only find themselves down by 4. It was a struggle for them at the offensive end. They committed way too many turnovers, the turnover number into double digits. And in the second half, they have many things to correct, as we heard T.J. Tibbs say, and the turnovers are just one of those things.
So we're at halftime. The Dolphins trail by a score of 34-30. We're going to step aside, take a break for a few minutes, and then we'll be back with halftime statistics and get you ready for the start of the second half as you're watching men's basketball coverage on your voice of CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Won a race because it was their turn. And guzzling the right sports drink never won all 3 sets. You can't talk your way through a tournament, and luck doesn't last. Real champions know that it takes more to do more, because wanting it just isn't good enough. You've got to be smarter, faster, tougher. After all, if championships were easy, everybody would have one. City University of New York Athletic Conference. Learn, play, succeed.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised.
Practice makes perfect. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
You know what, guys?
There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course.
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
This is the story of a boy who was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Here at Tim Hortons, we know what mornings are all about. Bacon. Wake up to 6 strips of crispy bacon on a toasted everything bagel. The new Bacon Everything Bagel Sandwich. Great quality at a great value. It's all good at Tim Hortons.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me and me help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android.
This is awesome.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Desert Sea Race. Love is love.
This is why you took a second job. While you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing. While you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Call 888-995-HOPE today.
We're back here at halftime. The College of Staten Island trailing Baruch College by a score of 34-30. The women's team won earlier tonight, defeating Baruch College by a final score of 76-32. As you get a look at the halftime statistics, the Dolphins shooting 40% from the field compared to 36% by the Bearcats, and you can see the rest of your numbers up on the screen, the big numbers, also 10 turnovers for the Dolphins. But Joe, you look back at this game for the Dolphins, they opened up an 8-point lead here early in the game. They hit their first 6 shots, but since then they've gone just 4 of 19 from the floor, and Baruch doing a better and better job pounding the ball inside, getting points in the paint, and getting offensive rebounds.
Well, as I take a look at the halftime stats, one thing that surprises me is how close the rebounding battle is. It really feels like that battle has gone in favor of the Bearcats, perhaps because a lot of their boards came at the offensive end, but the turnovers for the Dolphins were certainly an issue. And I think a lot of those Bearcats turnovers occurred when the Dolphins had the lead early in that first half, but from about the 5-minute mark, or at least 5 minutes into the half, so the 15-minute mark forward, the Bearcats took control of this game and really made the Dolphins struggle at the offensive end, both with the turnovers and with their shooting. You mentioned that the Dolphins hit their first 6 shots, and from that point forward were 4 of 19, but the Bearcats didn't shoot the ball very well either. They were only 12 of 33, so at the very least, if the Dolphins did something right on defense, it was that, limiting their shooting. And Adeola Latunji, as you just saw him finish at the rim there, got off to a tremendous start in that first half, cooled down a bit later in half number 1, as you see Christian Taylor finish off the feed from Raymond Savage, once again demonstrating that great body control. And what those two highlights have in common, they're from early in the first half. There wasn't much for the Dolphins to be happy about beyond that point. You heard the frustration in TJ Tibbs' voice when he spoke with you, as you see right there. Alan Villar finish at the rim and then pick up the technical foul, but that play really characterizes what Baruch was able to do offensively late in that first half.
And then you get another opportunity at Villar once again picking up the dribble, and Bracic coming away with the turnover that led to the Dolphin basket that we gave them the lead at 28-27. But Baruch doing a nice job closing the first half down on a 7-2 run and taking a 4-point lead going into halftime. And, you know, Joe, we get these statistics given to us and at halftime and in between quarters, and you know there are a series of numbers that usually provide you a pretty good indication of how the game is going. Points in the paint, 14-8 Baruch. Points off of turnovers, 8-7 Baruch. Second chance points, 11-6 Baruch. Bench points, 17-4 Baruch. So the Dolphins find themselves trailing by 4, and you don't have to look that far beyond these numbers to know why.
You're absolutely right, Mike. And one number that's also surprising, I mentioned how close the rebounding battle was, though it felt like the Bearcats had a distinct advantage in that area. The points off turnovers, Baruch only with 1 more point off of turnovers than the Dolphins, who committed 4 more turnovers than the Bearcats did in that first half. And I think the turnovers hurt the Dolphins more in really taking them out of rhythm offensively than it did turning into points back the other way. Defensively, they were able to limit the Bearcats to 12 of 33, as I said before, and despite some wide open looks, the Bearcats shot uncharacteristically poorly from 3-point range, only 2 of 10 from downtown in that first half. And if the Bearcats had knocked down some more of those wide open threes, this game could look very different right now. Just 2 of those, and the Dolphins are trailing by double digits. So right now, the Dolphins very fortunate to find themselves in this position, but if they come out and play a strong second half, as they did in the first half in their last matchup against the Bearcats, they could still very well come away with a victory in this game.
And you know, Joe, the Dolphins have done a great job on Chima Ekekabor. Ekekabor, the leading scorer for the Bearcats, coming in averaging over 18 points a game, they've held him scoreless, but it's been the other players. Alan Villar playing a big first half, 2 of 3 from the field, 3 of 3 from the line. Benjamin Botag, 2 of 3 from the field. Dwayne Bridey, 2 of 3 from the field. So a lot of firepower coming off of the bench for Baruch, and they've outscored the Dolphins, as we just mentioned, 17-4 with bench points in that first half.
And look how many players have scored for Baruch as well. I'm counting it quickly, and it looks like 7 or 8 players have scored. 7 players have scored for the Bearcats in this game. For the Dolphins, only 5. So right now, Baruch College getting production across the board. And I should mention, of those 5 Dolphins to score, Raymond Savage scored on a technical foul shot. So really, 4 Dolphins in this game have scored conventionally, either from the free throw line or from the field. Savage only got to the line as the result of the technical foul. So it's been a balanced offensive effort from the Bearcats. And despite them shooting poorly from the outside, they've gotten it done inside and from the free throw line. The Dolphins did shoot 9 of 10 in that first half. The Bearcats 8 of 10 from the free throw line. The difference was that the Bearcats did force more turnovers and were able to easily finish around the rim in that first half. Outscored the Dolphins in the paint 14-8, as you mentioned before. And really, the Dolphins have a tough time scoring consistently inside, haven't had an answer to the interior offensive game of the Bearcats at the defensive end, and haven't been able to respond to it at the offensive end so far.
Yeah, and you know, Joe, you mentioned during the pregame show what an important swing name this is really for both teams, because with a win here today, the Dolphins can solidify themselves at the top of the table and be a minimum of 3 wins ahead of every other team that's chasing them, other than Lehman, who they're tied with. But they drop this game here today, you find yourselves right back in the middle of the pack as you have another opportunity to look at those CUNYAC standings. A big 20 minutes of basketball coming up here for CSI.
And I think this is as big as a men's basketball home game as we'll see here at the Tank for the rest of the season. Of course, that matchup with Hunter looming as well later in the year could be a big one as well. But right now, the Dolphins need to remain focused and hopefully hold Baruch down in the second half.
So Rossiter takes that ball to the basket. His putback is up, no good. His third opportunity is good, and that's the first points of the game for Rob Rossiter.
And Rossiter was relegated to the bench with foul trouble early in that first half. I don't believe we saw him back in the game beyond that point. So Rossiter gets up on the scoreboard for the first time tonight.
So Rossiter gets the first basket of the second half for the Dolphins, and they cut the Bearcat lead to 2, but stepping up and burying the three-pointer will be Andre Harris to re-give the Bearcats a 5-point lead.
And if the Bearcats start connecting from downtown, the Dolphins could be in trouble. Those looks have been there for Baruch.
Bracic now gets the ball out over to Savage as the Dolphins look to set up offensively with their second possession here in the second half. Taylor swinging it around to Rossiter. He hands it off to Bracic. His open three-pointer is good, and Bracic hit his first three-point attempt in the first half. Hits his first here in the second, Joe.
After hitting that first three-point attempt, is 0 of 3 for the remainder of half number 1. Comes out here and responds to the Baruch three with a big three-pointer of his own from the corner.
Big basket by Bracic to cut the Bearcat lead down to 2. Ekekabah with the basketball. Passes it over to a wide-open Gibbs, and his three-pointer is good, Joe. No Dolphin player anywhere near Anthony Gibbs.
And that's not the first time that's occurred. And this is exactly how the Dolphins allowed Baruch back into that last matchup. Open three-pointers.
As Bracic comes back with a three-pointer, that's going to be no good. The ball is going to be knocked out of bounds, and it'll be Bearcat basketball. So Bracic tried to answer with a quick three-pointer of his own, and now it'll be Bearcat basketball. Gibbs with the basketball will walk the ball across the midcourt line as the Dolphins look to defend. Bearcats with the ball in a 5-point lead. Ekekabah still looking for his first points of the afternoon. Long pass over to Gibbs. He had an open three. Now he attempts to drive inside. Back over to Ekekabah. Bearcats working the ball around the perimeter. Open three-pointer that time by Harris is no good. And Dolphins grab the rebound, and here comes Taylor with the basketball. Savage handing the ball off to Bracic. Back to Savage. He puts up the three-pointer. That's no good. The Bearcats grab the rebound. Gibbs, nice feed inside that time, looking to get the ball inside to Harris. His short jumper is up, no good. Rossiter does a nice job to grab the rebound. Taylor looking to run. Getting the ball out over to Bracic. He hands it over to Latunji. Latunji puts up the jumper and buries it. Joe, the Dolphins got to find the way to get the ball into his hands more often.
He's been automatic from mid-range. Every time he catches it and faces up toward the basket, he's been able to knock down that face-up jump shot. And so far, the Bearcats haven't had an answer to his jump shot. They've tried to double-team him as he drives toward the basket, but they haven't been able to keep him off the scoreboard in this game. He has 12 to lead the Dolphins.
So we'll take a quick timeout here. 17-19 remaining here in the second half. Bearcats by 3. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back.
Here at Tim Hortons, we know what mornings are all about. Bacon. Wake up to 6 strips of crispy bacon on a toasted everything bagel. The new Bacon Everything Bagel Sandwich. Great quality at a great value. It's all good at Tim Hortons.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
We're back here at the Tank. The College of Staten Island trailing by 3, 40-37. The Dolphins coming in on a 7-game winning streak. The Bearcats coming in on a 4-game winning streak. The one thing I know for sure, Joe, is one of those teams' winning streaks will come to an end tonight.
And this has been a very entertaining game all the way from the start up until this point. It's been a back-and-forth game, but really, since about midway through the first half, the Bearcats have had control, and the Dolphins have come out strong here in half number 2.
So it's a 3-point lead for the Bearcats as Gibbs brings the ball up, now gets the ball inside to Ekekaba. Ekekaba looking to get work off a double team. He feeds the ball inside to Page, who misses the shot but draws the foul.
Bearcats continue to draw fouls around the rim. It seems like every time they attack, they either come away with a finish at the rim or are able to draw a foul and get to the free throw line.
So that foul will be on Savage. For Ray, that will be his first. Page will go to the free throw line for the Bearcats to shoot 2, and he hits the first. Page coming into this game a 79% free throw shooter. Baruch with a lot of good free throw shooters coming in shooting 73% from the line. They hit them both, and they open their lead back up to 5 once again, 42-37.
And that last free throw brings the Bearcats to 10 of 12 from the charity stripe.
Taylor, Brocic now over to Latunji. Latunji, a beautiful feed inside to Taylor, but he misses the layup. Harris grabs the rebound, and here comes Sixsmith with the basketball. Sixsmith handing the ball off to his brother. Now it's Jack Sixsmith out by the 3-point line. Now it's Ekekaba. Ekekaba cross-court pass. Now it's over to Harris. Harris showing no hesitation to take the jumper, misses it, but grabs the offensive rebound, and Baruch will get a fresh 30-second shot clock. Sixsmith with the basketball, hands it off to William. Now back over to Jack as Baruch looking to set up offensively now with 15 on the shot clock. The pass inside to Ekekaba. It's nearly stolen away. Grabbed by Latunji. His layup is up no good, but he draws the foul. And, boy, there was a lot of contact in midcourt, Joe. Nothing called. Adeola Latunji took the ball to the basket, nearly hit the shot, but did draw the foul.
And that contact took place right in front of us, but we should note that even when he's not shooting consistently, Eden Brocic's defensive effort is always consistent. You saw him there diving on the floor with a Kekabar for that basketball and ultimately tipped it away towards Adeola Latunji, who now finds himself at the free throw line for 2 shots. He has 12 points and 3 rebounds, remains perfect from the line as well with that last free throw.
Yeah, and he's 5 of 7 from the field as well, so he's playing a strong, efficient offensive game for the Dolphins. He now has 14 points, and he's keeping the Dolphins right in the game. They trailed by just 3 now, 42-39, 16 minutes remaining here in the second half. Sixsmith with the basketball, handing the ball off now to Page. Page to Sixsmith, back over to Ekekaba. Ekekaba's pass is knocked away and stolen, and boy, he's having a tough game for the Bearcats, Joe.
Dolphins have really keyed in on stopping him and have done a great job of doing so.
Taylor out by the 3-point line now, drives to the basket, and his floater is up and in. He took that one against 2 big men and laid it up and in to draw the Dolphins to within 1.
That's an incredibly difficult shot. Taylor continues to impress with his finishing around the rim.
Nice feed inside to Ekekaba, who goes up and draws the foul. I think it'll be on Rossiter, and if it is, that will be his third.
That's a tough call on Rossiter. That is a tough call.
Yeah, it looked like he got a lot of basketball on that play, but maybe got a little bit of the body too. So Chima Ekekabal will go to the free throw line. Incredibly enough, Joe, looking for his first points of the afternoon. You see his line up on your screen right now. 0 of 3 from the field. And he hits the first to get on the scoreboard.
And he hasn't looked to shoot much, and that's due in large part to the Dolphins really swarming around him whenever he gets his hands on the basketball.
One more free throw upcoming here for Chima. The Bearcats lead by 2. You can see up on your scoreboard with 15 minutes, 24 seconds remaining here in the second half. It's been a good, tough game, the kind of game we expected, Joe, between these two arch rivals.
A very close game between these two teams last time. We hoped for more of the same here tonight, and we're happy to bring it to you here on CSI Sports. And, of course, the previous matchup, an away game, was live streamed, but, of course, not covered here at the College of Staten Island.
Dolphins coming in with a 6-game winning streak against the Bearcats. Bearcats looking to end that here today as they have a 2-point lead as Latunji has the basketball now up over to Bracic. Bracic, a pass inside. It's going to be off Latunji's hands and out of bounds. That was a tough entry pass that time. It went off a couple of Bearcat hands before it went off of Latunji, so the Dolphins will turn the ball over here in the second half.
Up until that point, I believe the Dolphins had remained turnover-free in the second half. I'll check that. They had.
11-8 your turnovers, as you see up on the screen. Baruch with the basketball now and a 2-point lead as Sixsmith drives his way inside. And Taylor's going to pick up the personal foul, and kind of looked like Taylor was just kind of standing there on the play and took an elbow and picked up a foul. So that foul will be on Christian Taylor. That will be his first. Rob Rorsted is going to check out of the game, and another player that you would think would score for the Dolphins, who's been held off the scoreboard so far, Stephen Flagg, checks into the game for the Dolphins. Ekekabal, cross-court pass, a wide-open Gibbs in the corner, buries the three-pointer, his second three-pointer here of the second half. He has 11, and the Bearcats lead by 5 once again.
They're starting to heat up from three-point range, Mike. They're now exactly at their season three-point shooting percentage on this game, and they've really caught fire in the second half.
Taylor with the basketball, back to Bracic. His open three-pointer is good, a big three-pointer that time, Joe, by Eden Bracic.
That's the second time we've seen Bracic answer a three-pointer at the other end of the floor immediately after the Bearcats hit a big three of their own.
So the Bearcats have opened their lead to 5 a couple of times. Dolphins fighting their way back, now find themselves down by 2 points. Ekekabal with the basketball, and he's going to get a call, and another foul called on the Dolphins. I believe that foul is going to be called on Savage. That's going to be his second. And we're going to have a whistle and a timeout on the floor. Dolphins with 4 team fouls here through the first 6 minutes of the second half. It's a 30-second timeout, Joe, so let's keep it right here. Bearcats playing well here in the second half. The Dolphins keeping the pressure on. Baruch finds themselves with a 2-point lead.
And the Dolphins are doing a better job of taking care of the basketball. Unfortunately, now they're allowing Baruch to get open looks from three-point range. And I really shouldn't say that they've just started doing that now. In the first half, the Bearcats did have open looks from downtown. Didn't convert them. Here in the second half, they've made no mistakes from three-point range. I believe they've hit all but one of their three-point attempts here in half number 2 to bring their overall three-point shooting from the game to 5 of 14. That's just shy of 36%, right around where they shoot from beyond the arc on the season. So the Dolphins need to make sure they close out, and it's been tough for them to do that while not being vulnerable inside as well.
And Anthony Gibbs with 2 of those three-pointers here for the Bearcats as the Bearcats have the basketball with 14 on the shot clock, is driving to the basket that time and laying the ball up is Harris. His shot is up, no good, but once again the Bearcats able to grab the offensive rebound and draw the foul, and they'll be going back to the free throw line. And now the Dolphins, Joe, have picked up their 15th foul with 13:45 remaining here in the half.
And now they're starting to send the Bearcats to the line, really beginning to make some of the mistakes they made in that previous matchup against Baruch College. They fixed the turnover issue, but now they find themselves in foul trouble and allowing three-pointers. They need to correct at least one of those 2 things and continue to shoot the way they have here in half number 2 if they're going to get the lead back in this game. It's been the Bearcats leading now for quite some time.
The Bearcats now 12 of 15 from the free throw line as they open their lead back up to 3. as they'll have one more free throw coming up here by Andre Harris. Andre's second free throw is up and in, and the Bearcats open their lead up to 4 once again, 48-44. Taylor with the basketball now, brings the ball across the midcourt line for the Dolphins. Taylor opening in the lane, he drives to the basket and draws the foul, and that time the Baruch defense separated just enough to allow Christian to drive the ball hard to the basket. He couldn't complete the shot, but he did draw the foul, as that foul will be on Andre Harris. That'll be Andre's second personal, the team's second, and Christian Taylor will go to the line to shoot 2.
And I've mentioned already how the Bearcats have really been collapsing on any Dolphins player who looks to penetrate off the dribble, and if they're going to take the ball strong to the rim, they're going to have to brave a lot of contact in the paint, and Taylor did right there to earn these 2 free throws. Knocks down the first to pull the Dolphins to within 3, scoring his 13th point of the game.
Dolphins doing a great job from the free throw line. They're now 13 of 14, and they've cut the Baruch deficit down to 2 once again, 48-46. 13:30 remaining as the Bearcats bring the ball across the midcourt line and look to set up offensively with Gibbs. Gibbs getting the ball up over to Harris. Harris picking up his dribble, guarded by Flagg. Now the Bearcats work the ball around the corner and look to drive the ball inside as it's Ekabar. He can't hit the shot. He's still looking for his first basket, and Flagg grabs the rebound. Ahead of the field to Taylor. Taylor has to bring the ball out and reset the Dolphin offense. Brocic fakes the three-pointer. Now gets the ball up over to Latunji. Latunji trying to drive his way inside. The ball's going to be knocked out of bounds, and it'll remain Dolphin basketball. Latunji took the ball hard to the basket. Dolphins couldn't hit the shot, but Bearcats knock it out of bounds. Second chance opportunity for the Dolphins. Actually, it won't be, as the shot clock does not reset with 14 seconds remaining.
That was a good defensive play there by Andre Harris to recover and block that shot from behind. The attempt by Adegola Latunji rejected.
10 seconds on the shot clock here for the Dolphins. Taylor over to Latunji. Latunji puts up the jumper and buries it. Boy, more and more confidence from Adeola Latunji. He has 16, and the Dolphins have tied the game up at 48.
And Latunji and Harris just said something to one another. It was Harris guarding Latunji on that last possession who blocked the shot.
As Brocic turns the ball over, Taylor looking to drive his way inside and lay it up and in. Nice move by Taylor. Bridie got back but couldn't defend. Dolphins in the middle of a 6-0 run, and they take a 50-48 lead here with 12 minutes and 26 seconds remaining here in the second half. It's going to be a full timeout, so why don't we step aside and take a break. The Dolphins lead by 2, 50-48. You're watching men's basketball coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
One-on-One is an independently owned and operated physical therapy center since 1999.
One-on-One has multiple offices located in Staten Island and in Brooklyn.
One-on-One has been getting people back to living pain-free for almost 14 years.
The number one goal of One-on-One is to provide quality health care for our community and continue to strive to be the best in our field.
One-on-One physical therapy gets our clients back to work, back to play, and back to function as soon as possible. We help them reclaim their life.
We're back. We have an opportunity to take a look at the instant replay here as Christian Taylor gets the ball up over to Latunji. He confidently buries the jumper to tie the game up, and then the Dolphins able to come back with another 2 points and take themselves a 50-48 lead. And, you know, Joe, the Dolphins have been down by as many as 5 here in the second half, as we see Brocic with the steal, feeding it ahead to Taylor, and Taylor saw that Bridie was back. He thought he could take him one-on-one. He did. Quick 4 points by the Dolphins to regain the lead here in the second half.
And I mentioned the defensive effort of Edin Brocic before. That last steal brings his total number of steals in this game to 5. So Brocic has been very impactful at the defensive end, has shot 3 of 7 from three-point range as well, and 4 of 8 overall from the field with 11 points.
Yeah, we're going to have a whistle and a foul out in the out by the basket. And, you know, it looked like Gibbs drove to the basket and kind of lost his footing a little bit, Joe. Kind of maybe a little bailed out by the official on that one.
Foul trouble continues for the Dolphins now as their team foul total is at 6. One more, and the Bearcats will be able to go to the line for a 1-and-1, and that's not a position you want to find yourself in with over 12 minutes to go in the half.
Yeah, especially with a team that's very good at shooting free throws. So let's see how the second half plays out as it's William Sixsmith with the basketball now, handing the ball off to Harris. Harris working the ball in the corner to Bridie. Bridie back up over to Harris. Harris now back up over to Gibbs. A beautiful feed by Gibbs inside to Ekekabar, but he just can't buy a basket here tonight, Joe.
And his struggles continue.
Dolphins with the basketball now in a 2-point lead as it's Savage. Savage stops, pulls up. The three-pointer is up, no good. Ekekabar for the rebound.
With that last miss, Ekekabar 0 of 5 from the field.
Beautiful defensive play by Brocic to knock it away, and Latunji comes away with the basketball, and he banks it up and in.
Dolphins thriving on the fast break now. With every turnover and missed shot, they've run out in transition and taken advantage of Baruch.
8-0 run now for the Dolphins as they lead their biggest lead of the second half. It's 4. Gibbs with the basketball. Gibbs forced back. Now gets the ball up over to Ekekabar. Ekekabar over to Bridie. Bridie's open jumper is good. Big basket there by Dwayne Bridie.
And the Bearcats hope that will quell the Dolphins' momentum. It was all CSI for the last few minutes. You mentioned the 8-0 run. Bearcats pull back to within 2.
Taylor with the basketball now. Taylor looking to use the Savage screen. Now he'll back out and reset the offense with 15 to shoot. Taylor kicking the ball out to Brocic. Over to Flagg. Cross-court pass over to Latunji. Now Taylor, a beautiful spin move to the basket. He shouldered off the basket, can't hit the layup, and now it's Gibbs. The short jumper that time is taken by Bridie, no good. Dolphins grab the rebound, and now it's Flagg with the basketball. Flagg driving his way down the court. It's up, no good, but we're going to have a whistle and a loose ball foul called on the Bearcats as a couple of helter-skelter possessions. It's going to end up with the Dolphins on the lines. We have an opportunity to look at the replay as Latunji comes away with the basketball, drives his way down the lane, and hits the beautiful bank shot to open the Dolphin lead back up to 4.
We've seen a lot of physical play around the rim in this game. Right there, it was Latunji who was fouled going for the offensive rebound. Dolphins will inbound.
So Ekekabar picks up his first personal. Third team foul on the Bearcats, so the Dolphins now with a fresh 30-second shot clock as they lob it inside to Taylor, who lays it up and in.
That's an impressive finish there by Taylor over Villar.
Dolphins making a conscious effort to work the ball and pound it inside the paint. They've gotten a few baskets in there the last few possessions, and their lead is 4 once again. A beautiful play to lob the ball inside to Villar. He can't hit the layup, but he will draw the foul once again.
And that's Stephen Flagg's 4th personal foul. He's been held scoreless in this game. He's put together a string of solid performances and may not get the chance to continue on here, at least right now in the second half, as Rob Rossiter's up off the bench getting ready to check in.
And that's going to be the 7th team foul on the Dolphins. So just at the midway mark through the second half, the Dolphins over the limit, and Villar hits the free throw. And we mentioned before, he came in really struggling from the free throw line here. Not tonight, Joe.
No, he hasn't, and now the Baruch foul shot total is 17. So the Dolphins 13 of 14 from the line, and with that last free throw, Baruch now 14 of 17.
Yeah, both teams doing a very good job from the free throw line. It's that time Villar misses the second, so the Dolphins with the basketball now in a 3-point lead. Taylor with the basketball as he brings the ball across the midcourt line, now angling over to the far side, looking to use the Spencer pick. He lobs it into Spencer on the pick and roll. Nice job by the Bearcats to defend, and the Dolphins will reset now with 10 on the shot clock as Taylor drives the ball to the basket, misses the shot, but draws the foul.
And Taylor's doing a nice job of driving inside and drawing contact, getting to the free throw line.
So Christian Taylor is going to go to the line. He's going to shoot 2. Ekekabar picks up his 2nd personal here in the last couple of minutes. The Bearcats now with 4. As Taylor will shoot 2 for the Dolphins. He's already 4 from the line. You see his line in front of you as it now increases to 19 points, 7 of 13, and 5 of 5 for Christian as the Dolphins open up a 4-point lead and an opportunity for their biggest lead here in the second half. But he misses the second.
For the Dolphins here in this game, it's been mostly Taylor, Brocic, Latunji at the offensive end. Those 3 players accounting for 48 of the 55 Dolphins points.
The Bearcats lobbing the ball inside to Villar. This time the Dolphins triple team him and come away with the steal. Taylor trying to back his way in, and the short jumper is good. That time he was working against the smaller Gibbs, Joe, and posted him up for the jump shot.
And I mentioned that Taylor is really the one Dolphins player who looks to play with his back to the basket, and you saw it right there as he knocks down the post fadeaway to give the Dolphins their largest lead.
A feed inside to Villar, who lays it up and in, and nice move and nice play that time by the Bearcats to cut the Dolphin lead back down to 4. Villar now has 10.
Largest lead of the second half, that is. Dolphins led big early in the first half.
Taylor with the basketball, works his way inside, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul on the Bearcats. So they pick up their 5th foul, as that foul is going to be on Anthony Gibbs. For Anthony, that's going to be his 3rd foul. 6 fouls now, or 5 fouls, I should say, for the Bearcats. So the Dolphins will get to inbound with 20 seconds on the shot clock. Taylor with the basketball as he looks around the floor and looks to set up a play here for the Dolphins. 10 seconds to shoot. Taylor, a beautiful feed inside to Spencer. Now it's Savage. As both teams fight for possession. Spencer grabs the basketball, and we're going to have a whistle and a 30-second shot clock violation. So Dolphins turn the ball over. They've done better with the turnovers here lately, Joe, in the second half.
They have, and I think that turnover was actually beneficial because it was the Bearcats who came away with the loose ball, and moving out quickly in transition was Anthony Gibbs as he looked to finish at the rim. That turnover brings the Dolphins' total for the game to 12. It's only their second turnover of half number 2. In contrast, the Bearcats have committed 5 turnovers in the second half, so they've been a bit more sloppy with the basketball, although that overall number of 11 is still a good number.
Behind the back pass there to Sixsmith. Sixsmith looking to work the ball inside, and now he gets it back. Sixsmith with 15 to shoot. Works the ball up over to Ekekabar. Ekekabar back up over to Sixsmith. Sixsmith works the ball up over in the corner to Page. That shot is up, no good, but nothing but blue jerseys to grab the weak side rebound.
Sixsmith doesn't want to shoot the ball. Whenever he touches it, he's looking to pass. He's being given 10 feet of space whenever the ball's in his hands.
Yeah, Dolphins not even guarding him on the perimeter. Sixsmith, that time he puts up the wide open 3 and buries it. So now he makes the Dolphins pay, Joe.
And he made them pay from at least 3 or 4 feet beyond the arc.
Baruch now on a 6-0 run of their own to cut the Dolphin lead back down to 1, or a 5-0 run, I should say. Taylor driving his way inside. The shot is up, no good, but we're going to have a foul on the floor before the shot. So that will be the 16th foul on the Bearcats. So the Dolphins will get the basketball as that foul will be on Bryla Page. That will be his second, team 6th. So the Dolphins will inbound the basketball with 20 seconds on the shot clock.
Baruch has 22 points in the second half. Of those 22, now 12 of them have come from beyond the arc.
Bracic lobs the ball out over to Latunji. Latunji feeds it up over to Taylor. Taylor posting up inside. The shot is up, no good. Latunji there to grab the rebound, but his shot is rejected. 10 on the shot clock now. Taylor pulls up, and that jumper is up, no good. Villar goes up high to grab the rebound for the Bearcats.
Rob Rossiter wanted that ball. He was wide open in the right corner. Taylor didn't see him.
Page with the basketball. Bearcats trying to regain the lead, as we're going to have a whistle and a foul on the play. And that will be on the Dolphins. And that's going to be on Rossiter, so Rossiter will pick up his 4th. And that'll send Villar to the free throw line to shoot a 1-and-1, as the Dolphins have picked up their 8th team foul here in the second half.
And I mentioned the Bearcats with 22 points here in the second half, 12 of those coming from beyond the arc. 6 more of those have come from the free throw line. So only 6 points coming by other means. Or 4 points, I should say, as you get a look at the free throw shooting for Baruch. With that make, they're now 15 of 18 from the line.
So Baruch now has scored the last 6 points in the game to tie this game up at 57, and Villar to go an opportunity here to re-give Baruch the lead. And he does. He hits both free throws, and the Dolphins find themselves trailing once again, 58-57. 6:50 remaining as the Dolphins with the basketball.
Bearcats doing damage from beyond the arc and from the charity stripe.
Rossiter with the basketball. Rossiter trying to drive his way inside, and he draws the foul.
And it looked as if Rossiter might be substituted out of the game with 4 fouls, but he remains in. And the Dolphins will benefit from that decision as he'll head to the line.
Yeah, that foul is going to be called on Alan Villar. That's Villar's second foul, and now it'll be Rossiter with a big 1-on-1 coming up here actually to foul in the act of shooting. So Rob gets 2, hits the first. He now has 3, and the Dolphins have tied the game back up at 58.
Rossiter's only been able to play 15 minutes in this game due to his foul trouble, and that's a big reason why his scoring total is much less than we're accustomed to seeing from him.
So Rossiter hits both of his free throws, and the Dolphins retake a 1-point lead. Dolphins doing a great job from the free throw line here tonight, Joe.
They have, Mike, with those made free throws by Rossiter. They're now 16 of 18.
Yeah, that's his really good free throw shooting as Villar gets it inside. As Rossiter tried to front him, they lobbed it into Villar, and he hit another layup. He's really hurt the Dolphins, Joe, with 14 points.
He has, and there's nothing more Rossiter could have done there. He defended it well, just giving up too much size.
Taylor back to Rossiter. Rossiter puts up the three-pointer. That's no good. Latunji goes up and tries to jam it home, but draws the foul.
And that's the second putback dunk attempt by Latunji in this game. That one came much closer to going down than the first as it rattled around and out. But Latunji will head to the line for 2 as he was fouled in the act of attempting to dunk that ball.
Latunji's first free throw is up and in as he continues his strong, efficient offensive play. 5 of 5 from the line, 7 of 11 from the floor. He now has 19, and he looks to re-give the Dolphins a 1-point lead, and he does. So the Dolphins lead now 61-60 with 6:05 remaining here in the second half. Going to have an exciting one down the stretch, Joe.
This game's been exciting from the start, and it looks like it's going to stay that way through the final 6 minutes.
Sixsmith wide open from the three-point line, and he buries it. 2 in a row for Jack Sixsmith, and that's going to be a 2-pointer to give the Bearcats, a 3-pointer to give them a 2-point lead, I should say.
Since his 0 of 3 start, the Dolphins have been daring him to shoot the ball every time he touches it. He's made them pay with back-to-back made 3-pointers.
Rossiter now looking to drive the ball to the basket. He lays it up and in and draws the foul. Big move there by Rob Rossiter. He now has 6. He ties the game up at 63, and he'll go to the free throw line looking to complete the 3-point play as Alan Villar will draw his 3rd personal foul.
And right there, the 6'3 Rossiter took it right at the 6'7 Villar, finished strong, drew the foul. The Dolphins have done a great job of drawing fouls, and they've attacked the basket, and Rossiter's able to convert the N1. Dolphins back in front.
Dolphins continue their strong free throw shooting, and they take a 1-point lead as it's Jack Sixsmith bringing the ball up the floor. Jack, a strong second half, and he's hit his last 2 3-point shots. Page over to Sixsmith. Sixsmith working the ball up over to Ekekabar. Ekekabar working the ball in the corner to Sixsmith. This time he takes it in the corner and gets the ball up over to Page, and we're going to have a whistle and a blocking foul called on the Dolphins. And we're going to have free throws coming up here for the Bearcats, as that foul will be on Latunji. For Adiola, that's going to be his 3rd, and that will send Bryla Page to the free throw line.
And foul trouble in the second half has certainly been an issue for the Dolphins. They really slowed down the rate of fouling later in the half as the front end of a 1-and-1 is no good.
Big miss there by the Bearcats as the Dolphins have a 1-point lead as we head down to 5 minutes remaining here in this second half. Taylor with the basketball. Taylor angling out by the 3-point line. Dolphins look to set up offensively with 10 to shoot. Taylor hands the ball off to Savage. Savage now with 8. Good defense by the Bearcats. Now it's Taylor. Taylor able to get past one player. His shot is up, no good. And the rebound grabbed by the Bearcats. Page taking the ball to the basket. That's up and no good, but Ekekabar finally gets his first basket of the afternoon to re-give Baruch a 1-point lead.
And giving them the lead inside of 5 minutes right now. That's the biggest basket of the game. A good time to get on the scoreboard for Ekekabar.
Taylor with the basketball. Gets it over to Latunji. Latunji's jumper is up, no good. Bracic dives for the rebound, but Villar comes away with the basketball. And now it's Baruch with the basketball and a 1-point lead. Brocic knocks it away, but it will remain Bearcat basketball.
And a tremendous effort by Brocic there, fighting for that rebound, then got back up, sprinted up the floor, and was able to poke the ball away from Sixsmith. Nearly had the opportunity to dive and tip that ball back in bounds, perhaps toward one of his Dolphins teammates if he was fortunate. And a timeout is called by the Bearcats. Full timeout.
So it'll be a full timeout. Let's step aside, take a break. 4 minutes, 7 seconds remaining. Dolphins trailing by 1. Let's step aside. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
There's something delicious happening this season at Tim Hortons, and it's only 99 cents. Get a rich, decadent hot chocolate or creamy French vanilla for the sweet price of 99 cents. Great quality at a great value. It's all good at Tim Hortons.
We're back here with 6 minutes and 4 seconds remain. 4 minutes and 7 seconds remaining, I should say, from the tank. The College of Staten Island finds themselves trailing by a score of 65-64. You see the shooting on your screen, even 21 of 51 for both teams. And Joe, back and forth second half. Baruch now with a 1-point lead.
It has been a back and forth second half, and in that first half, Baruch really took control late in half number one. Here in the second half, the Dolphins have played much better, but the Bearcats still holding on to a 1-point lead.
So it's the Bearcats with the basketball as Boateng, who's checked back into the game, gets the ball, and stepping on the end line that time will be Jack Sixsmith. So the Bearcats turn it over. Big turnover here, Joe, as we head down the stretch.
And we saw the identical shooting. That's not the only number that's identical. Both teams have taken 21 free throws. The rebounding battle right now is 33-32 in favor of the Dolphins. Turnovers equal at 12.
Brocic, the open three-pointer is up, no good, and Ekekabal goes up and grabs the rebound. Big opportunity there for CSI.
Huge opportunity to get a 2-point lead back. Brocic has shot the ball well from downtown in this game. Couldn't convert on that 3-point opportunity.
Sixsmith with the basketball. Sixsmith looking for somewhere to go with the basketball, and now he's able to get it over to William, and then we're going to have a whistle and a foul called 30 feet from the basket.
And it's early in the shot clock, but up with the ball might have been a good place for Sixsmith to go. They're still giving him 10 feet of separation. He's knocked down his last 2 3-pointers. His team had the lead, and whether you agree with that call or not, a bad foul committed that far away from the basket will send Sixsmith to the line, William Sixsmith. And now the Bearcats are in the double bonus, so 2 free throws for William Sixsmith.
As you see the free throw shooting up on your screen as Sixsmith hits the first to give the Bearcats a 2-point lead, and Boateng will check out of the game for the Bearcats as Baruch finds themselves up by 2 here with 3 minutes and 32 seconds remaining and an opportunity to make it a 3-point game. Second free throw is up and in, so Baruch now leads by 3 as we'll have a substitution as Anthony Gibbs will come in, and Gibbs hit a couple of big 3-pointers early in the second half. And now it'll be the Dolphins looking to inbound the basketball as the official having some words with both players.
We've seen verbal sparring between these two teams throughout the game, several different players getting involved.
So it'll be Savage with the basketball looking to bring the ball up the ball. And boy, Joe, I don't see how that's any less of a foul than what was just called on the Dolphins. And now we're going to have a whistle and another foul out 30 feet from the basket. And this game would be much better off if they didn't call either of those fouls, Joe.
Well, that puts the Dolphins in the double bonus. So ultimately those 2 fouls will offset Christian Taylor to the line for 2.
Big free throws coming up here now for Christian as both teams over the bonus. And Taylor's first free throw is up and in. Dolphins continue their red-hot shooting from the free throw line here tonight. And his second is up and no good. So Dolphins now 20 of 23. Big miss as they're down by 2 now with 3 minutes and 18 seconds remaining here in the second half. Gibbs with the basketball. Gibbs gets the ball out over to Harris. Harris now over to Smith working his way inside. That shot is up, no good. A fight for the rebound, and Taylor is able to go up and grab the basketball. Taylor taking it coast to coast, feeds it up over to Bracic. He pulls up for the three-pointer. That's up, no good. And Baruch grabs the rebound.
Dolphins may have been better served, making one more pass.
Gibbs with the basketball. The Baruch, 18 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Gets it out over to Page. Page now gets the ball out over to Harris. 10 seconds to shoot for the Bearcats. Page with the basketball. Page working his way inside. That shot is up, no good. Lots of contact, but the Dolphins come away with the basketball.
That's a tough no call.
Savage, the open three. That's no good, and Baruch comes away with the rebound. Dolphins have had opportunities, Joe, in their last couple of possessions.
In a game where these two teams have been so similar in so many areas, it's been the Bearcats who have been the far better team shooting the ball from beyond the arc.
Harris with the basketball. Bounce pass goes up over to Sixsmith. Sixsmith gets the pick. Now feeds it up over to Harris. He works his way inside. Back up over to Sixsmith, whose open three-pointer is good. Huge three-pointer that time by William Sixsmith. 5-point Bearcat lead.
Dolphins win streak in dire jeopardy now.
Latunji takes the ball to the basket. He can't convert. And now the Bearcats with the basketball at a 5-point lead. And Savage will draw the foul, and Baruch can go to the free throw line with an opportunity to make it a 3-possession game.
Now, I'm not sure if the Dolphins would have intentionally fouled regardless. I doubt it. Only a 2-possession game, but now the Bearcats with a chance to make it a 3-possession game if they can knock down both of these free throws. And as you said, Mike, it will be number 4 for the Bearcats. That's Anthony Gibbs heading to the line.
So Gibbs will go to the free throw line. He will shoot 2 here. Dolphins had opportunities coming down the stretch, but they have not been able to hit the big baskets. And Bracic had a couple of three-point looks and a big miss that time on the last three-pointer by Ray Savage, Joe.
And it's been the Bearcats who have made the timely three-pointers. The Dolphins have failed to do so here in the second half. They're only 3 of 15 overall from downtown. The Bearcats 8 of 18.
Second free throw is up and in. And Baruch now finds themselves with a 3-possession lead with 1 minute 35 seconds remaining here in the second half. So Taylor brings the ball across the midcourt line, and it's a timeout on the floor for the Dolphins. It's a full timeout. Let's step aside, take a break. 72-65 score. Minute 31 remaining. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back.
We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? You know you do. Yeah, but I don't know where to start. That's why we're here. We're free, handsome. I think we're breathtaking. And here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Biology homework, G. I got this. Is that brand? Colleges love extracurricular activities. Chess really isn't my thing. I got this. Doesn't matter. Go ahead. Picking a college, man. You and us go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos.
Fire and ice.
Those don't really go together. Go to GetSchooled.com for more info.
We're back here at the Tank with 1 minute 31 seconds remaining here in the second half. The Dolphins trail by a score of 72-65. Baruch with their biggest lead of the game at 7. And, Joe, the Dolphins led in this game 64-63 when Rob Rossiter completed a 3-point play. But since then, it's been all Bearcats, a 9-1 run.
It's been very timely shooting by the Bearcats down the stretch of this game as the Dolphins nearly turn it over. But that shooting has propelled them to their largest lead.
Bearcats now looking to defend out on the perimeter. Dolphins don't necessarily need a 3 as Latunji takes it to the basket and makes it a 5-point game with 1 minute 20 remaining, and Gibbs has the basketball now for the Bearcats. Gibbs knocked down from behind. Taylor will pick up the personal, and now Baruch will go to the free throw line to shoot 2. And if Baruch could hit their free throws down the stretch, Joe, they can make it very tough here for the Dolphins.
This game is certainly that of the Bearcats to lose at this point. We mentioned it during the pregame and then once again during halftime, how big of a win this would be for Baruch College, not only extending their winning streak and snapping the Dolphins' winning streak, but putting themselves right back in the conversation atop the CUNYAC Conference.
Yeah, there's no doubt, Joe. You know, we mentioned before, and you've seen the standings a couple of times. You want to finish in the first 2 to get that bye, and you know, if Baruch can hold on here through the last minute and 14 seconds, they're back in the conversation to get into the top 2.
And they absolutely have to win this game to remain in that conversation, as both free throws are no good.
Big misses there by the Bearcats, so let's see if the Dolphins can take advantage as Taylor brings the ball across the midcourt line, and we're going to have a whistle. I'm not sure what happened, Dave. I think it might be a problem with the 30-second shot clock. I see only 20 seconds on it. There's no way the Dolphins had the ball for 10.
No.
So it can't be that. So the officials will have to figure out what's going on. And, you know, Joe, you mentioned a couple of times that coming down the stretch when the Bearcats needed big baskets, it came from a couple of unnecessary or surprising sources. Jack Sixsmith probably hit 2 of the biggest three-pointers of the game for the Bearcats.
He did. The Dolphins had been daring him to shoot it for nearly 15 to 20 minutes of gameplay, and he finally obliged and knocked down back-to-back huge three-pointers.
Taylor gets the ball up over to Rossiter with 1 minute remaining here in the second half. The Dolphins don't need a three-pointer here necessarily. Rossiter. Dolphins have taken 17 seconds off the shot clock, and that jumper is up. No good. Not a good offensive possession that time, Joe, by the Dolphins.
Defended very well by the Bearcats. Whatever Dolphin had the ball, they simply couldn't find any openings. Movement off the ball was stifled by Baruch College, and that forced Rossiter to a very difficult shot that was well contested. Great defensive possession there for Baruch College, and perhaps the most important situation of the game for them at that end of the floor.
Yeah, they really did a good job. The Dolphins really didn't move the ball very well on that possession, and now it'll be Andre Harris to go to the free throw line. And if he can hit both free throws, he can make it a 3-possession game inside a minute to go. But he misses the first, leaving the door open ajar for the Dolphins.
We talked about the Dolphins possessing that killer instinct and showing it off in the last game that I broadcasted with you against Kane University. Right now, the Bearcats are failing to put the Dolphins away here. The door remains open. If this free throw goes down, still a 2-possession game.
It does, so the Bearcats lead by 6 now, 73-67, inside a minute remaining. Dolphins need to push the ball up the floor. Taylor taking it inside, loses possession and turns the ball over, and now the Bearcats with the ball, and the Dolphins will foul, but with just 35.6 seconds remaining, the odds getting long. And, you know, Joe, we mentioned it, the Dolphins led in this game 64-63, Baruch in the middle of a 10-3 run.
And even if Baruch was to miss both of these free throws, a huge blow to the Dolphins right now as Christian Taylor has fouled out of the game. You have 2 other players on the floor with 4 fouls, those being Ray Savage and Rob Rossiter. Adiola Latunji with 3 fouls. So Taylor heads to the bench. He finishes this game with an impressive stat line. Once again, 22 points on 8 of 17, 6 of 8 from the foul line, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, a block, and a pair of steals for Taylor as well.
Yeah, it's like Ekabor's struggles in the game continue, and got to give Baruch credit. Without their best player, Chima Ekabor, having a good game, they find themselves with a 6-point lead with just over 35 seconds remaining. So that second free throw is up and in, 74-67 the score. Baruch doing a great job defensively on the Dolphins here in this second half. Bracic, the long three-pointer is up, no good. Rebound grabbed by the Bearcats, and the Dolphins could foul now all they want, but barring some type of miracle, the Dolphins' 7-game streak, Joe, will come to an end.
And this game, or I should say this winning streak, ends in a very similar way to which it began, in a very competitive game against this Baruch College Bearcats team. But it seems like Baruch corrected one of the biggest issues that plagued them in that first matchup against the Dolphins. That was turnovers early in that game. Baruch did not protect the basketball, didn't shoot particularly well, and then in the second half, they came out and shot the basketball much more efficiently than they did in the first half. The Dolphins see their shooting percentage fall down to under 38%. Baruch moves their shooting percentage up over 41, and from three-point range, 8 of 18 for Baruch College here tonight. A big win for the Bearcats that puts them right back in the conversation of the top 3 teams in the CUNYAC Conference. They will be vying for 2 bye spots in the CUNYAC playoff tournament.
So Ekebor hits the free throw, and the Bearcats now lead by 9. Their biggest lead of the game as they feed it inside to Brocic, who lays it up and in. And it's going to be too little too late as the Dolphins are going to call a timeout here, Joe, but you have to go back all the way to November 29th since the Dolphins lost the game and only scored 67 points. They've been very efficient offensively going all the way back through the year, and they've been improving offensively throughout the season, taking a little bit of a step back here tonight, Joe. Only 69 points against the Bearcats.
They simply didn't have it tonight, and a lot of it was due to some foul trouble. Rob Rossiter was off the floor for a large part of this game, and despite what Eden Brocic did defensively, he didn't come out and shoot well in the second half. The Dolphins really needed some of those three-pointers of his to fall because really no one else was getting open from three-point range. It was Brocic who had a lot of the openings, simply couldn't knock down the three-point shot in the second half. Looks like he'll finish the game shooting 3 of 10 from three-point range, but what can't be lost in that is that Brocic is a big part of why the Dolphins remain close in this game. His effort at the defensive end was stellar, shooting the ball. Adiola Latunji, 8 of 14, a good number. Christian Taylor, 8 of 17 in this game. So several Dolphins did shoot the ball well, but as I said earlier, it was Brocic, Taylor, and Latunji that really were the driving forces behind the Dolphins' offense. It was tough for other players to get involved, due in part to foul trouble and just due in part to Latunji and Taylor getting the bulk of the shots. And the Dolphins offensively in the second half stagger to the finish and they will come up short in this game.
Looking around the CUNYAC Conference, John Jay defeated CCNY 71-48, Brooklyn 104-86 over Medgar Evers, as we have a couple of finals for you within the conference as the Dolphins will defend here. The shot clock is off. Savage will commit the foul, so Baruch will go back to the free throw line here, Joe. But as you take a look back at this game, the Dolphins got off to a fast start. They took an early 8-point lead in this game. Baruch did a great job coming back in the latest stages of the first half. They went in with a halftime lead, opened that lead to as many as 5 in the second half before the Dolphins came storming back and led by as many as 6 in the second half. But Baruch College, you got to give them a lot of credit, Joe. They hung in there. They played tough. They got some scoring from places you wouldn't necessarily expect it. And they're 12.8 seconds away from ending this Dolphins 7-game winning streak.
And it came down to timely baskets. The Bearcats hit the big shots, were able to get to the free throw line consistently throughout the second half. The free throw numbers now a bit skewed because of these intentional fouls committed by the Dolphins here in the final minute, as that free throw pushes the Bearcats to 26 of 35 from the free throw line. They shot very well from the three-point line as well. And the Dolphins they didn't shoot the ball well enough here in the second half, and they'll come up short as they failed to hit some key timely buckets down the stretch.
So 3.2 seconds remaining, and we're going to have another timeout taken here on the floor as you get an opportunity to see your updated CUNYAC standings. CSI will fall to 9-2. They have losses to Lehman, the team ahead of them, and Baruch, the team behind them, who they've split with so far. Hunter now 5-5. John Jay edging their way back into the standings at 5-6. Brooklyn at 5-6. Big loss for Medgar Evers. They dropped to 3-7. York 3-7, and CCNY struggling a little bit in the conference. They're 1-10, and for the CSI Dolphins, Joe, not much time to rest. You got to come right back into action this Saturday afternoon against York College. And if the Dolphins go to sleep on the Cardinals at all, Joe, they're going to find themselves in a very tough contest.
And you would hope the Dolphins don't do that, especially coming off of a game in which they had to battle so hard and ultimately will come up short. But again, the Dolphins still control their own destiny atop the CUNYAC Conference. They still control their own destiny at the very least as to whether or not they get a bye in the opening round of the CUNYAC tournament. Now it's Lehman College that has complete control over what position they finish in the conference. Even if the Dolphins were to beat them, I guess the Dolphins, they could tie Lehman College if Lehman drops another game. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the remainder of the season. But that matchup between the Lightning and the Dolphins will undoubtedly be a big matchup as another timeout is called on the floor. So the last minute of this game has really stretched out quite a bit. with 3.2 on the game clock.
Yeah, so the CSI Dolphins will find their 7-game winning streak coming to an end as they give up 78 points against Baruch here tonight. And, you know, Joe, you got to go all the way back to the January 3rd game against Lehman. Coincidentally, the last game they lost since the last time they've allowed a team to score as many as 78 against them. So I'm sure head coach TJ Tibbs is probably unhappy with the offense and unhappy with the defense.
Well, TJ Tibbs was undoubtedly unhappy with the defense at halftime. He said they did nothing right, and the only number that reflected positively on the Dolphins after that first half defensively was the shooting percentage of the Bearcats. But here in the second half, they didn't do a great job defensively, as the final seconds will finally wind off the clock, and the Dolphins' winning streak will come to an end at 7.
Yeah, so Baruch College will up their winning streak to 5. They put themselves right back into the conversation as they defeat the College of Staten Island by a final score of 78-71. The College of Staten Island will drop to 9-2 in the conference. Baruch will up their record to 7-3, and for the CSI Dolphins, they will look to get back on the winning ways this Saturday afternoon. So great game for the girls, Joe. They came in and defeated a Baruch College team we expected them to be able to handle, but the Dolphins men not as fortunate here in game number 2.
Well, here in game number 2, so many areas on the stat sheet, very similar between these two teams. We mentioned the rebounding earlier, the final rebounding margin +2 in favor of the Bearcats. These two teams were neck and neck from the free throw line as well until those intentional fouls by the Dolphins down the stretch. Both teams spent a lot of time with the lead as well in this game. The turnovers 13-12, 13 committed by the Dolphins, 12 by the Bearcats. The assist number is very similar, and you could keep going down this stat sheet and find numbers where these two teams were very similar in all different areas. But ultimately, it is the Bearcats that hit the timely shots down the stretch of this game. The Dolphins shot very poorly from three-point range, and that's the one area where Baruch really distinguished themselves in this game.
So that's going to wrap things up here from the tank. We want to give special thanks to Anita Lorenzo on the camera, doing a great job, and all those great replays and stats that you've seen throughout the game provided to us by our broadcast engineer, superstar David Pizzuto. And that's going to wrap things up here once again. So for Joe Foreman and Mike Babuski and Dave Pizzuto and Anita Lorenzo, thanks for joining us. Don't forget our next broadcast will be tomorrow night. Men's and women's swimming and diving versus York College. We'll be back with basketball action for you, doubleheader coverage for the men and the women this Saturday afternoon against York College. So that's going to wrap things up here. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, women's and men's swimming and diving, right here on your voice of everything, CSI Sports, CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com. Have a great night, everybody.